Good morning, everyone. In just a few moments, we will be starting the SCSC Student Forum. We kindly ask everyone to settle down and take your seats as we prepare to begin. Thank you. Mabuhay ASCOTians, mabuhay ASCOT. I am Mika Seriales Luar.
And I am JC Mark Marquez. Welcomes you to the SCSC Leadership Forum. May I kindly invite everyone to stand for the opening prayer.
Let us bow our heads and put ourselves in the presence of the Lord. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for gathering all of us today. May you bestow your guidance and blessings so that we can enjoy and appreciate its significance in our lives. Bless everyone who are present here today, that each one of us may be able to share our knowledge, understanding, and wisdom for your glory and honor. May the various activities related to this event be a success through your intervention. We all ask of this in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Kayang magiliw, kaya sa sinanganan, alam ng puso, sa titig mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, kuya ka ng magiting, sa manlulupin, di ka pasisingil, sa nagatang tutok sa simoy at sa langit ang pangaw, ay hinatang tula, kawin sa pagkaya minamahal, ang
Thank you everyone. You may now take your seats. And of course, bago tayo magpatuloy, nais ko lamang na sama-sama nating i-welcome ang ating President, Dr. Renato G. Reyes. And of course, Dr. Maria Luz F. Cabatan. And Ma'am Alma Bayudan. Ayan, palakpakan po natin. Ayan, marami pong salamat. Again, good morning and welcome to all of us, to all the participants, aspiring student leaders here with us today at the SCSC 2025 Leadership Forum.
And greetings to everyone joining us today virtually through our live broadcast on Facebook.
And now to open this forum that celebrates leadership and the power of voice, please join me in welcoming the Vice President for Academic Affairs of ASCOT. Let's give her a round of applause, Dr. Maria Luz F. Cabatan.
Good morning, everyone. Of course, to our President, Dr. Renato Reyes, the Director of the Student Affairs Unit, Dr. Alma Bayudan, and the outgoing President of the SCSC, Ma'am Janelle Baldonade, and of course to the other officers of the SCSC, may I also greet the CEB, the Tibots, all other students, students online, on Facebook. Good morning po sa inyong lahat. And of course, to the two parties who will be competing, or will you be competing for the SCSC, the Hiraya Party, and the SICAP Party. Okay. So this event is really very important for our students, no? I hope that the objective of the SCSC will be met, especially on student affairs, student welfare, no? Sana po ang magiging programa ng mga mananalong officers ngayong taon, 2025, ay magbibigay ng mga mahalagang activities para sa ikabubuti ng ating estudyante at ikabubuti din ng ating Aurora State College of Technology. So, yun po, congratulations in advance sa mga mananalong group of students na magiging officers at pagtatayo para sa ating mga estudyante. So yun lamang po, magandang umaga sa ating lahat. Good luck to everyone.
Ayan, marami pong salamat for your meaningful and encouraging message. And now for another encouraging message, let's give her a round of applause, Miss Alma S. Bayudan.
Hello, good morning to everyone, to our President, Dr. Renato Reyes, to our Vice President, Ma'am Luz Cabatan, to our outgoing President of SCSC, Ma'am Janelle Baldonade, sa ating mga dalawang party na magtutunggali ngayong election 2025, SICAP Party and Hiraya Party. Ang masasabi ko lang, bilang leader, you should set as a good example. So sana kung sino man sa inyo yung manalo nitong 2025, please do something para sa ating mga estudyante and para sa sake ng ating kolehiyo. So good luck everyone. Mabuhay ang ASCOT. Magandang umaga.
Thank you, ma'am, for your meaningful and encouraging message. At this point, we are deeply honored to hear from the highest official of our institution. To give an inspirational message, let us all welcome SUC President of Aurora State College of Technology. Let's give him a resounding round of applause, Dr. Renato G. Reyes.
Yes, thank you so much. Good morning to all of us. Magandang umaga sa ating lahat. Good morning. Yes, I always say that, holding position is actually a great responsibility. Positions are not just mere decorations. There are responsibilities that are actually within those positions. Always remember also that holding such position is, as I said, a great responsibility because I always consider leaders, including student leaders, as not clients but as partners of development. You should always remember that you are not clients. Perhaps a long time ago when I was a student, when we were students were clients because we paid tuition fees. But now, students are no longer clients, but they are partners of development. So I consider student leaders as great partners of development of this great institution. Nasimulan na ni Ms. Janelle yung development ng mga programa ninyo dito sa kolehiyo bilang hamon ng panahon. Okay, alam naman ninyo kung ano mga challenges of time. I would like to emphasize to you, like for example, internationalization, where we really have to bring the best of ASCOT to the world. Nasimulan na rin ni Ms. Janelle yung student office one time. Nagpunta ako dito sa office ng Tibots. Naawa ako dun sa opisina ninyo. Ang ganda-ganda ng bata na nandoon, yung dalawang bata. Sino ba yung batang yon na naabutan ko? Mabuti na naabutan kong malinis naman yung opisina nila. Pero naawa ako dahil ang liit-liit ng office, walang ventilation, and then halos hindi sila makagalaw. And I told Ms. Janelle, let's do something. I told the Vice President for Administration, let's do something. Nakita namin yung building na katabi ng Office of the President, na yung isang maliit na building doon, yung parang bungalow, na parang bahay, na parang opisina nung araw, na it's an eyesore to me dahil katabi siya ng Office of the President. Ang sabi ko kay Ms. Janelle, yan ang i-develop ninyong opisina. And then nasimulan. Natutuwa ako kay Ms. Janelle dahil you listen. You are a kind of leader that you listen and you act. So nasimulan na ito, and then nakita ko uli yung isang unfinished na building doon na kadugtong nung building na yon. Ang sabi ko, maganda yon para sa Tibots. I mentioned that to your advisor. Ang sabi ko, gawin ding opisina ito ng mga estudyante. Kaya mapapansin ninyo, meron na tayong zoning ngayon na lahat ng student services nandun sa lugar na yon. Papunta dun sa office ng ating Director for Student Services, yung Student Cultural Office, as well as Sports Office, nandun na sa lugar na yon. Unlike before na nagkalat yung mga opisina. Hindi natin alam para tayo nag-hide and seek, nasaan ba yung office ng Tibots? Nasaan ba yung office ng SCSC? Yung office ng SCSC, palipat-lipat. You remember? Palipat-lipat, hindi mo alam kung nasaan na ang opisina ng SCSC. At least sa ngayon is maayos. My point here is that ang unang aayusin natin ay yung physical. Tandaan ninyo as student leaders, aayusin ninyo parang sa bahay ninyo, aayusin ninyo muna ang physical. Magtutulong-tulong tayo. Itong building dito sa harap na ito, nagpapasalamat tayo sa ating mahal na congressman dahil binigyan niya ng pansin para maituloy, para magkaroon ng karagdagang classrooms dahil kulang tayo ng classrooms. When I came in as president, nakita ko yung mga estudyanteng nagkaklase sa hallway, hindi ko ma-attempt na nagkaklase sa hallway ang ating mga estudyante. Yung iba nandun sa ilalim ng puno. That's why we did something. Gumawa tayo kahit na papaano para magkaroon ng silungan ang ating mga estudyante. Nangyari yon dahil na rin sa pakikipagtulungan ng SCSC. Itong room na ito ay naayos din. Na lagi kong sinasabi ng mga kaibigan ko pag dinadalaw ako dito, Rene, sabi nila, bakit naman ganyan? Siguro, maayos ninyo ito. At sa pakikipagtulungan ng bawat isa, naayos natin. unti-unti nating iaayos itong ating bahay. I-consider ninyo ang ASCOT ng inyong bahay na tinutuluyan. I-consider ninyo whether kayo ay mga estudyante and ultimately gagraduate na rin, bahay ninyo ito. Kaya kasama kayo sa pag-aayos ng ating bahay. Kailangan ko as your president ng partners at kayo ito. Ang pangarap ko dito sa ating mga estudyante ay makilala din sa labas. Unti-unti nang nakikilala ang ating institusyon. I hope everybody agrees on this. Sa EduRank, na-rank tayo. Sa UniRank, na-rank tayo. First time in the history ng ASCOT, nakapag-host tayo ng ISCOFAR. Ang ganda ng feedback ng mga dumalo sa ISCOFAR at nakita nila ang kagandahan ng ASCOT, naramdaman din nila yung hospitality ng mga taga-ASCOT. Inaasahan ko na kung sino man ang mauupo na bagong leaders, student leaders ng Supreme Student Council ay magiging kasama ng kolehiyo para lalo nating maitanyag ang ating kolehiyo. Kailangan ko kayo, kailangan tayong magtulungan. I need bright ideas. I need also actions to translate these ideas. Mangyayari ito kung kayo ay gagampan ng mahalagang tungkulin. Kung kayo ay bibigyan ng pagkakataon na maglingkod sa ating mahal na institution, just do the best performance that you can do. Just always regard every day as a new day and regard every performance as the best performance for the benefit of the studentry, for the benefit of our great institution. Magandang umaga sa ating lahat.
Thank you very much, Dr. Renato G. Reyes, for your meaningful and encouraging message.
Okay, so now one of the highlights of today's Leadership Forum is the presentation of our aspiring student leaders.
So, if I call your name, you'll stand. So let us begin by introducing the candidates from the Hiraya Party. President Ron Allen Angara, Vice President Vincent Sumalbag, Vice President for Zabali Campus, Sophia Gwen Amante, Vice President for Basal Campus, Julius Valdez, Executive Secretary Maria Sofia Mauro, Finance Secretary Princess Ramirez, Executive Auditor Jasmine Lopez, Senator Leslie Apigo, Senator Adrian Santiago, Senator Christian Buenconsejo, and Senator Janish Corpus.
Ayan, palakpakan po natin. And now, para naman sa ating Sika Party, President Shari Rose Faraon. Vice President Zabali, Cassandra Angelica Palakay. Vice President Kasiguran, Jose III Beltran. Executive Vice President Ariel Merciales. For Finance Secretary, Mark Neil Pagal. Executive Secretary, Prince Ezekiel Bacaro. Executive Auditor, Silene Joy Naranha. For Senator, April Laika Aragon. Senator Elijah Hannah Hinoza. And for Senator, Mario Garcia Jr.
Palakpakan
Ayan.
naman ako.
So good morning, everyone. For our opening statement, here are the rules. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to introduce themselves and their platforms. And please don't make personal comments or attacks.
And
may-
now, both parties, it's your time to present your platforms. Let's start with Hiraya Party.
Let's start with Hiraya Party List. You may begin your opening statement.
Good day, everyone. I am Ron Allen Angara, the President of Hiraya Party. My Executive Vice President, Ms. Vincent D. Sumalbag. My Executive Secretary, Ms. Maria Sofia C. Mauro. And my Executive Finance Secretary, we have Ms. Princess Lovely M. Ramirez. My Executive Auditor, we have Ms. Jasmine Grace R. Lopez. And my Campus Vice President for Zabali, we have Ms. Sofia Gwen B. Amante. My Campus Vice President for Basal, Ms. Julius L. Valdez. And also my Senators for Zabali, we have here Mr. Christian H. Ben Consejo, Ms. Adrian B. Santiago, Ms. Janish R. Corpus, and Ms. Leslie I. Apigo. Ngayon naman po ay tingnan natin ang aming plataforma. Ang aming pong plataforma ay nakasentro sa mga estudyante at inayon namin ito sa pangangailangan ng mga students in a way na hindi siya gas-gas or conventional but progressive ang approach. Hinati namin ito sa 3 key pillars which includes campaigns, programs, and services, and naniniwala kami that we have to provide balance on these 3 in order to make our leadership something effective. Ang highlight sa campaign namin, ang banning of mandatory school activities, introducing youth volunteerism to all ASCOtians, transparency and accountability by frequent posting of our liquidation and narrative reports, AI mobilization campaign, limiting the use of single-use plastic campaign, mental health awareness campaign, and collaborative research for schools. As well as we have our programs which includes free civil service examination, training, and seminar, reproductive health programs, and ASCOT University Fair. We also have our services na direktang nakaka-benefit sa mga student. We have Hatid Bayan services, research aid services, Tambuli Student Cast, as well as the Student Help Desk or Tell Us Space. Thank you po.
Ayan, maraming salamat. And para naman sa SICAP Party, may I call on the President of the SICAP Party, Ms. Shari Rose Faraon. Palakpakan po natin.
Hello. Hello. Kasama ka sa Magandang araw, ASCOtians. Narito ang mga leader estudyante na may sigasig at kalinga para sa pangarap, ang SICAP Party. I am Shari Rose Sante Faraon from the School of Forestry and Environmental Sciences. I am a third-year student taking Bachelor of Science in Forestry. I serve as President of ASCOT Forestry Student Council for the 2 consecutive years. Again, I am Shari Rose C. Faraon. For our Executive Vice President, Mr. Ariel B. Marshales. For our Executive Secretary, Prince Ezekiel Bacaro. For Executive Auditor, Sailin M. Naraja. For Zabali, Vice President for Zabali Campus, Cassandra P. Palakay. And for our Senator, Mr. Mario. So, ang SICAP Party ay merong 5-point agenda. Ang una ay ang forming of internal and external partnership. Naglalayon ang SCSC Party na mapalawig ang partnership sa mga programa ng mga student organization. Bukod dito, kailangan din nating magkaroon ng collaboration kasama ang ibang offices sa ASCOT gaya ng sports, cultural, and GAD. Dapat din magkaroon tayo ng partners sa lalabas ng ASCOT. Maghanap ng mga organization na may same vision. Ang second, student development support. Third, sustainable and relevant projects. Kasama dito ang 17 SDG na aligned activities, strengthened student participation, and for the last one, the revision of SCSC Constitution. Again, we are the SCSC Party.
Ayan, maraming salamat, Ms. Shari Rose Ferron. And now, syempre, ngayon naman ang inaabangan ng lahat, everyone, of course. Papunta na po tayo sa exciting part.
But before we proceed to the exciting part, it is time for a fast talk.
So, good morning again. Here are the rules for the Fast Talk segment. So, each candidate will have 1 minute to answer quick questions. No explanations, no filter. And please respond with just one word or a short phrase. And you don't have to elaborate your answers. If you can't answer within 10 seconds, we will move on to the next question. So candidates, are you ready? We'll start with SCSC Party. So simply state if you agree or disagree with the following matters, social matters. First, rejoining the ICC.
Disagree.
Number 2, legalizing abortion.
Disagree.
Same-sex marriage.
Agree.
Legalizing divorce in the Philippines.
Agree.
Anti-terror law.
Agree.
Banning political dynasties.
Disagree.
Abolishment of SK.
Disagree.
Legalizing medical marijuana.
Agree.
Charter change to federalism type of government.
Charter change. Disagree. Disagree. I'm sorry.
Reinstatement of death penalty.
Disagree.
Impeachment of Sara Duterte.
Agree.
Justifying travel budgets of government officials.
Disagree.
Abolishing confidential funds.
Disagree.
And lastly, suits over confidential funds. SUCs over confidential funds.
Agree.
So we also have school-based issues. You can always elaborate your answer. First, leaders held to higher moral standards.
Agree.
Service over popularity.
Agree.
Do you agree that meetings should be published? Meetings of the SCSC.
Agree.
Do you agree that public evaluation of leaders are needed?
Agree.
Do you agree that students feel heard on campus?
Agree.
Do you encourage activism?
No, I don't agree. I don't tolerate or agree in activism.
Does SCSC have a voice on national issues?
Yes.
And should the students consult the student body before making decisions?
Can you please repeat?
Should the SCSC consult the student body before making decisions?
Yes, it's a must.
Hello? Hello? And for Hiraya Party, Mr. Ron Allen Angara.
Good day po.
For the national issues, rejoin the ICC,
I am agree with rejoining the ICC.
legalize abortion,
I am agree with legalizing abortion.
same-sex marriage,
I am agree with same-sex marriage.
divorce in Philippines,
I am agree with divorce.
anti-terror law,
I do not agree with anti-terror law. It is used to red tag the journalists as well as activists.
criminal liability at 12. Criminal liability at 12.
I do not agree.
Ban political dynasties.
I agree.
SK abolish or reform.
I do not agree.
Legalizing medical marijuana.
I agree.
Charter change to federalism.
I do not agree.
Reinstate death penalty.
I do not agree.
Impeach Sara Duterte.
I agree.
Justify travel budgets.
I do not agree.
Abolish confidential funds.
I definitely agree.
SUCs over confidential funds.
Strictly agree.
For the school-based issues, council just for resume building.
Excuse me?
Council, student council just for resume building.
I agree.
Leaders held to higher moral standards.
Agree.
Service over popularity.
I agree.
Leadership means action.
Agree.
Transparent council funds.
Agree.
Publish meeting minutes.
Agree.
Public evaluation of leaders.
Agree.
More student voice in policies.
Agree.
Compliance over learning.
Agree. I disagree.
Do students feel heard on campus?
Agree.
Enough school facilities.
Disagree.
Student voices ignored.
Disagree.
Encourage activism.
Agree.
SCSC to speak on national issues.
Agree.
Consult students before making big decisions.
Agree.
And that's the end of the Fast Talk segment. Thank you, candidates, for your quick and direct answers. Okay, so thank you to both sides for a thought-provoking exchange of ideas. So now the exciting part of this leadership forum. Let's move on to our Q&A segment, where we'll open the floor to questions for our candidates. So this is your chance to dive deeper, clarify points, or challenge ideas with respect.
For our question and answer segment, here are the rules. Each candidate, from the president to the vice president for Zabali campus, will receive questions. So let's start with, and they have to answer within 2 minutes. Let's start with the presidential balls. First to answer is Hiraya Party President. The question is, The first question for our candidates for the president position: what is one existing student policy you believe is improper or outdated, and how will you challenge or change it? Let me repeat the question. What is one existing student policy you believe is improper or outdated, and how will you challenge or change it? Let's start with Mr. Ron.
I think one of the students' policies currently existing that is not improper and I think is burdening the students is yung expression ng estudyante na makikita natin sa student handbooks. Stated there ang mga instances or mga ways na pinapakita ang conventional student. However, as a progressive leader, naniniwala ako na yung ganong klaseng pamamaraan ay dapat na nating i-abolish. Marami na ang nagbago sa kasalukuyang panahon, nagbago na ang expression ng mga estudyante, nagbago na ang kanilang paniniwala sa mga bagay-bagay. We have to let the students become free to their self-expression as well as on their how they present themselves to the society, because that way, if we promote autonomy within the student tree, we can promote freedom as well as great learning. Thank you.
SCSC Party President, you may answer the same question.
For me, ang one waiver policy. As we all know, ang dami nating kinakonduct na activities. And every activities, umaabot ng 10, 20, and even 30 pages na waivers yung pinapasa ng mga students. For me, mas okay na magkaroon tayo ng i-lessen na natin ang ganong polisiya. Though it is helpful naman kasi para siya sa mga student. But for me, it's a burden. Kasi considering na may bayad ang pagka-photocopies. And in that case, makakapag bawas tayo ng paggamit ng mga resources. Yun. Makakatulong tayo sa environment. Thank you.
Lolo. Thank you so much. So, here's the second question. What will you do if the school administration keeps rejecting your plans? How will you still make change happen? Again, what will you do if the school administration keeps rejecting your plans? How will you still make change happen? So let's start with the SCSC party.
So, if the administration is rejecting my plan, as former president of ASCOT Forestry Student Council, I have experience rejecting plans and proposal. Pero I do believe na kapag ang plano na pinaglalaban mo ay para sa welfare and development ng students, walang masama na ipaglaban kung ano yung tama. Kung alam mo na it will help to develop different aspects in students, then you as a student leader, you stand firm na kailangan to ng estudyante mo. At kung ako ang papalaring na maging SCSC president, rest assured na lahat ng plans ay magiging makabuluhan. And kung hindi man siya, against man siya, or hindi siya i-approve ng ating administration, then we keep on telling them na this plan or project will be beneficial for our students. Thank you.
Okay, I will repeat the question. What will you do if the school administration keeps rejecting your plans? How will you still make change happen?
Yung pagkakaroon ng rejection ng plans natin, it includes collaborative effort kasi between the administration as well as the studentry. As a student leader, kung naniniwala tayong nasa atin ang tama, we have to be assertive enough. Dapat maging isa tayong leader na may paninindigan na kung saan inuuna natin ang pangangailangan ng mga estudyante in a way na nasasabi natin kung ano ba talaga yung needs nila and ano ba talaga yung wants nila. Because that way, we can create a collaborative environment between the administration as well as in a student tree na kung saan lahat ay napakikinggan, even the smallest voices. Thank you.
The third question is, the effectiveness of student council leaders lies not only in representing the student body, but also in navigating institutional structures like the Board of Trustees, where decisions are often complex and politically nuanced. How will you assert student interest while fostering strategic cooperation with the board, especially when student demands may conflict with the administrative priorities? I'll repeat the question. How will you assert student interest while fostering strategic cooperation with the board, especially when students' demand may conflict with the administrative priorities?
Good day, everyone. It is an inevitable circumstances that there are conflicts of interest as well as the diversity of opinions. However, I do believe that this diversity of opinions is a great thing kasi naniniwala tayo na nagkakaroon ng democracy between the studentry and the officials. Nagkakaroon ng pagkakaiba-iba ng opinions, which is actually a strength in find in diversity. And as a student leader, it is my job to find the common ground between this diversity of opinions, to find the common ground kung saan ay nako-consider natin ang general welfare ng studentry at ng nasa administration dahil at the end of the day, yung common ground na yun ang magsisilbi nating path to grow as well as to provide a better environment of ASCOT. Thank you.
So I will repeat the question po. How will you assert student interest while fostering strategic cooperation with the board, especially when student demands may conflict with administrative priorities?
So, being a student council is crucial for a functional and inclusive campus. If there's issues or issues of the student that may demand conflict with the administration, me as a president, I need to address regardless if it will cause conflict with the administration. First thing and foremost, you need to think or isipin ang kapakanan ng mga estudyante. Huwag mong isipin kung it is against with the, it will cause conflict with the administration. The only thing you need to do is to address what is needed to be addressed. Thank you.
For everyone's information, these questions are from the students who responded to the Google Forms that was posted in the page of the bots.
So, proceed na po tayo sa third question. This is the question. How would you handle situation where the SCSC decision is met with widespread disagreement from the student body? Again, how would you handle a situation where the SCSC decision is met with widespread disagreement from the student body?
You know, as I've experienced being the president of ASCOT Forestry Student Council and attended so many meetings, one thing that I want to tell is proper communication is really essential in the student council. And conducting a meeting with the school president, I have to say this na ang concern ng isang presidente or ng isang organization president ay most commonly concern ng lahat ng student. By that time, kapag merong meetings and all, You have to listen to them. Kung disagree sila, you ask them why they are disagree. Sometimes yung majority wins, hindi siya okay for me. It's a matter of consensus. You ask them na why they are disagree in a certain issues or activity, kung bakit hindi sila agree with a certain matter. Thank you.
Hello. How would you handle a situation where the SCSC decision is met with widespread disagreement from the student body?
If politicians are so-called public servants, we as a student leaders, we are so-called student servants. Ang kailangan nating gawin ay priority natin yung welfare ng studentry. Number one, bakit ba nag-o-oppose ang studentry sa ating plans and actions? Meron niyang reason. There's always a reason to everything. And that is why as a student leader, we have to know that reason and in order to create change as well as to promote solution kung paano natin aalis yun. Kasi at the end of the day, we have to be a pro-student body. Kung ano yung gusto ng estudyante, gagawa tayo ng paraan, especially kung nasa tama sila. And alam ko naman na ang studentry ay aware sa kung ano ang kailangan nila, sa kung ano ang gusto nila, at yun ang iproprovide natin bilang student leaders because by then, sila lang din naman na makikinabang to all of our programs as well as on our platforms. Thank you.
And the last question is, what makes you the best candidate to represent and lead a diverse student community of ASCOT? What makes you the best candidate to represent and lead a diverse student community of ASCOT? You may start.
Okay. In accordance with Senator Miriam Defensor Santiago, meron tayong tinatawag na 3 excellences to prove a great leader. Number 1, academic excellences. I have been a consistent with honor students during my elementary and junior high school days. On my kindergarten, I was the batch valedictorian. On my elementary, I was the batch salutatorian. On my junior high school, I am a with honor student sa tinibka lang ko sa integrated school, as well as with honor student sa Aurora National Science High School. And currently, I am a consistent Dean's Lister since my first year. Pangalawang excellence, we have professional excellence. Number 1, ang ginawa ko dito, I have a school-based organization, which is the Voice of the Sierra. I am their associate editor-in-chief, but before that, I become the news writer, editorial writer, literary writer, feature writer, as well as illustrator, and also layout artist and radio broadcaster. More than that, I have a community organization, which is the SCSC Aurora, which is focused on youth-driven communication and mobilizing the community upang tulungan ang mga bata in the fields of reading comprehension, leadership, as well as environmental awareness. I am also serving as a national officer to my national organization ng mga electrical engineering student. I am their co-chairman for Documentation and Publication Committee as well as in Certificate and Awards Committee. Naniniwala ko na through these 3 organizations, school-based, community-based, and national-based organization, it is enough to become a professional excellence. And yung pangatlo, we have a moral excellence. Unfortunately, there's no such thing in order to gauge this, but naniniwala ko as someone na nagsiserve para sa mga bata, as someone who is advocate anti-racism, anti-sexism, anti-homophobia, as well as ableism at iba pa, naniniwala ko that's enough to prove my moral excellence. Thank you.
What makes you the best candidate to represent and lead a diverse student community of ASCOT?
For me, having academic good standing in academics, being a mother, and being a student leader makes me the best to be the president of student council. Being a student leader for 2 years, as we all know that ang pagiging student leader ay napakahirap. Kalaban mo ang oras, ang pagod, bilang nagsilbi ng president ng school, alam ko ang aking kapasidad dahil hindi ako pagtitiwalaan ng aking school na maging president kung hindi ako capable enough to be the president. At ngayon, sa SCSC election, magiging mabuting leader ako at kung ano man yung nagawa ko sa aming school ay gagawin ko pa siya sa institusyon na ito. Yun lang po at maraming salamat.
So much for our presidents of each party. Now let's call on the vice president of each party for the Q&A session.
Thank you so much po.
So here again the rules of the question and answer. Each candidate will receive the same question and will have 2 minutes to respond. So let's proceed to the first question. How do you define the role of Vice President and how will you support the President and the Council? Again, how do you define the role of Vice President and how will you support the President and the Council? So let's start with Hiraya Party.
Hello. Once again, good morning, everyone. So I have been asked during the interview if the Vice President is just a spare tire of the President. And I firmly said no, because I believe that the Vice President must have his own platforms as well as the drive to serve the students. And I have read the SCSC the Constitution and bylaws, and it says there to plan activities as well as to support the president, and also to make platforms. So I believe that the vice president must have the drive to serve the studentry of ASCOT. So I believe that through our platforms, which is student-driven, I am capable enough with my experience and my credentials is enough to be the Vice President of the Supreme Student College, SCSC. Thank you so much.
Well, good morning, everyone. As is stated to the Article 10, Section 1 of the SCSC Constitution and Bylaws, sinasaad dito na ang trabaho ng SCSC Executive Vice President is that letter A is to coordinate to the campus vice presidents. And doon pa lang, malalaman na natin agad na ang vice-presidente ay hindi lamang tagahalili o spare tire ng konseho ng estudyante. And second thing is, sa letter D, sinasabi rito na merong mga mandato na ibibigay ang konseho ng estudyante sa vice-presidente. So, doon pa lang, malalaman natin na ang vice-presidente ay may kakayahan at nararapat na makapagbigay ng kanyang sariling advokasya at plataforma para sa mga ASCOTians. And pangalawa, sa ganung paraan, sa pagbibigay ng platform natin and advocacy to the students, we can assure na makakatulong tayo. And given na may sarili tayong pagkakataon para ipakita yung platform and advocacy natin, mahalaga na tulungan natin yung whoever wins, kahit sinong presidente ang pagsilbihan, kung ako ang pagbibigyan na maupo bilang vice-presidente, kahit sinong presidente ang maluklok, kahit kapartido ko or hindi, basta ang kung ano yung para sa estudyante, iyon yung ipaglalaban natin. And I hope na yung ano na yun is same drive kung ano yung meron si President and si Vice President.
Thank you. So the second question is, for you as a student leader, when is the right time to remain silent in times of problems or issues, and when is the right time to speak? Again, as a student leader, when is the right time to remain silent in times of problems, and when is the right time to speak? You may start, Sikap VP.
Every time is the right time for us to speak, and every time is the right time for us to remain in silent. Kung mali na yung ginagawa nila, iyon, may karapatan na tayong magsalita. And kung whether tama or mali yung ginagawa nila, may karapatan tayong magsalita. Unang-una, pagka mali yung ginagawa nila, we should call out. Sa ganung paraan, maaaring ma-educate natin sila. And that way, may itama nila yung mga mali. And yung tama, tayo bilang leader estudyante, meron tayong sariling opinion. And hindi lang siya basta opinion na mananatili sa atin. Dapat i-share natin yun sa council. In that way, makakatulong tayo and mapopursu natin yung isang mas progresibo na student council. Thank you po.
Let's proceed to the third question. Sorry po. Same question po. For you as a student leader, when is the right time to remain silent in times of problems or issues, and when is the right time to speak? You may start.
I think that we student officers or student is a representation of the student, the whole studentry of ASCOT. So I believe that the right time to remain silent is when we need to assess the situation, the problems and issues, because I believe that relaying the problem to the student of ASCOT will make further problems. Therefore, I believe we must assess it first. And the right time to remain, to speak up is when we have the solution for it. And also, there are certain circumstances or contexts wherein there is no time to remain silent. Because I believe if there is a problem, we must address it. And if we are on the right path or we are on the right, then we should speak up. That is all. Thank you so much.
The third question is, if you have to name one issue or failure of the outgoing administration that students may not be fully aware but deserve to know, what would it be and why do you think it wasn't addressed or acknowledged during their term? If you have to name one issue or failure of the outgoing administration that students may not be fully aware of but deserve to know, what would it be and why do you think it wasn't addressed or acknowledged during their term?
As a student being governed by the past administration, I believe the administration have not been a smooth sailing. However, I believe they have done their best to serve us and to amplify the voices of the students. So I believe that we are here not to blame the past administration or the outgoing administration, but we are here to showcase our platforms. And that's why we are to showcase our platforms and why we are needed here. So that is all. Thank you so much.
I think this is not the right time for us para silipin yung mga mali or pagkukulang or lapses ng nakaraang administration. I think much better if tignan na lang natin yung para magnilay na lang yung mga estudyante doon para hindi na maulit kung ano yung lapses na yun. But since this is a question, I need to answer. I serve as a president. I am the outgoing president of Gobyerno de Agham Politica, the official organization of all political science students here at ASCOT. And I am a partner. Lahat po ng student council president ng bawat schools during the term of outgoing SCSC president is ginawa po niyang ex-officio member, wherein we have time and moment para sabihin kung ano yung simpatya namin about sa activities na gusto nila. Siguro yung isa lang sa napansin ko, masyadong na-highlight given the fact na leader estudyante kami na kami yung namumuno sa bawat konseho ng bawat schools. But parang nawalan na ng somehow, hindi na naman nagawa yung trabaho ng ibang officers ng student councils. And sabi ko kanina, hindi ito yung moment para anuhin yon. Kaya sana, yung sa susunod ng mga mauupo is anuhin na lang yun para ayusin at hindi na maulit. Nagkataon lang siguro talaga na mahusay yung presidente natin na yung patapos na administrasyon. So, nagawa pa rin yung mga dapat isulong na para sa estudyante even though hindi sobrang smooth. Thank you.
So, this is the last question po. Will you support the SCSC president even if he or she is not from your party? Why? Again, will you support the SCSC president even if he or she is not from your party? Why? Let's start with SICAP party.
Yes. Of course, iyon kasi yung dapat and iyon yung ethical. And tayo bilang student leaders, nagseserbisyo tayo hindi para sa isang individual, hindi para sa administrasyon. Nagseserbisyo tayo para sa estudyante. So, marapat lamang na magtrabaho tayo no matter what, kahit ano pang party na pinanggalingan nung presidente. To give you a context po, when I am elected officer of GDAP for 3 consecutive years. And sa pamumuno ko po, sa panunungkulan ko bilang officer ng GDAP, I ran twice as independent candidate. And very thankful kasi napagbigyan ako na mag-serve even though I'm an independent and wala akong kasama. And nung time po na umalis yung secretary namin, even ako po ay isang independent, I was able to have that position na pinagkatiwala sa akin nung partido na nag-landslide during the election. So that is a testament of kung paano dapat ako magtrabaho bilang isang vice-presidente if ever si Mr. Ron yung manalo. And ayun, and remember that it's not about battle of colors or battle of parties. It's about making a rainbow making a rainbow and make sure that the lights of the rainbow will radiate in all communities of ASCOT. So that way, magkakaroon tayo ng mas maayos, mas progresibo para suklian ang nagsisikap na ASCOTians. Thank you po.
Yan. So hello, I think that we are here not just for the positions, but to serve the student of ASCOT. So I believe even if the president is not from my party, I will still collaborate with her, ma'am. So I believe that because we are here, we should focus on our cause, not on our differences. So I believe as a student leader, aspiring vice president, if I were to be elected and to work alongside with other parties, it would be in an ethical and moral way. So we should set aside our personal insights or opinions, but rather collaborate with them. Because I believe from what Mr. President Renato have said earlier, that students are not clients. We we are partners. So I believe we should partners with one another as well as with the administration. So that is all. Thank you so much.
Ayan, thank you so much for the Executive Vice President of each parties. Let's now proceed with the question and answer for the secretaries of each party. So, good morning, candidates. Here's your first question. What sets you apart from other candidates? Let me repeat. What qualities set you apart from the other candidates? You may proceed from Secretary of the Hiraya Party.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. As candidates running for this position, we have certain qualities that sets us apart. However, in my end, I think that is one my credentials. I have an extensive background in leadership. I may be known as a beauty queen, but back then I graduated as the class valedictorian during my high school. And at the same time, I represented Aurora in national and regional conferences like the Learners Convergent Philippines, which is a testament of my leadership. And as well as I have served as a leader for 2 consecutive years during my senior high school. And I think this, other than my credentials, what sets me apart is my qualities, my advocacies, and causes that I believe in. Because in leadership, it should be service and progressive leadership. And I think I possess that, along with my party that supports me with that cause. And here I am, yes. And with that, I think that whoever wins, whatever it is, I think that we all have unique qualities deep within us. And I think that even though we have unique qualities, we should have a common ground and where we can contribute something to our society and to our school as one student body and as a representation of the voices of the student. Thank you.
Good morning. I am Prince Executive Bakara from the School of Education, running for the secretary position. So for the question, I think my background, before I become an ASCOTian, I was just a simple student, just like everyone listening to this broadcast. I focused on my academics and I didn't really touch on being a student leader. And I think that's an edge for me as an aspiring student leader of the council. I came from a background of just a follower, of a participant, and I saw how the leaders tried to give their best service to the students, and I saw how, as students, we don't really put ourselves to appreciate that leadership. So that was a challenge transitioning from a simple student to a student leader. But now that I am here in ASCOT, I have served as president of the Mathematics Student Teacher Circle and then the Teacher Education Student Organization, by which everything that I have learned as a leader and everything that I stand for today has been instilled in me by ASCOT. And I believe that as an aspiring secretary, not even just a secretary, but an aspiring leader of the council, this background that has been given to me, everything that I have learned serving as a leader and just being a normal student, has empowered me to strive to make activities, to make programs that are purely beneficial to our students, to be able to listen and to be able to collaborate. And of course, just as our executive vice president have said, we have become partners of the SCSC in the past. And this background, I think, is an essential point for us, not only me, but the whole of CCAP, that we have experienced how it's like to be in the inside. And now we will try to serve as outsiders to the inside of the council. That's all. Thank you.
So, the second question is, how will you make sure all council meetings, plans, and budgets are well recorded and shared with students? What system will you use? Again, how will you make sure all council meetings, plans, and budgets are well recorded and shared with students? What system will you use? Let's start with SCSC party.
Thank you. The normal work of a secretary is to keep records of everything that the council do. Minutes of the meeting, proposals, any attachment, any letters that has been done. It is already being recorded. And as a leader as a president of my previous organization, we make it a point that we make these records, not only the narrative and others, but also the financial, so that we can, if ever a student comes to us and asks for records, we are able to give them these records and show where the money goes, what the plans were made, and which officers gave contributions in the work. But I think that's not enough, especially for a council that strives to be inclusive for all students. I think we should also strive to make a system that will publicize what we do in the council. First, the initiative of the office has been started, and so we should try posting whatever actions that the council do. Maybe it may be announcements, it may be planned activities, planned budget for the entire year should be posted there, so that there should be a freedom of information board in the office, so that any student can come to the office and have an easy access to that documents. Second is, I think this is something that is already being done by the faculty. I think the staff of ASCOT, they have a closed group for announcements, for memos and such that is being posted in. I think we should make a system that involves all of the students of ASCOT, student leaders. We should make a group. We should post regular updates there for every activity that we do, and so that all students can be updated in what is happening, not only in the council, but we should also involve our student organizations that we are all a part of. Thank you, that's all.
Same question. How will you make sure all council meetings, plans, and budgets are well recorded and shared with students? What system will you use?
According to Article 10, Section 4 of our Constitution, it is stated there that the main goal of the Executive Secretary is to record and accordingly organize all the narrative reports and at the same time all the papers needed to be recorded and organized. I will utilize my skill set as a student leader to be able to do just that through implementing one of my platforms, not just from Hiraya, but for myself as a running candidate for the executive secretary. And I think that is through digital document management. I think that this is the 21st century already, and I think we shall utilize our learnings and knowledge about technology. And I think there is a program specializing that we can collaborate with. We can utilize this as a student leader, and also through digital newsletter to improve communication, and at the same time for efficient record keeping. This will ensure that everyone will know the needed information that they want to know, and they should be aware of, like the minutes of meeting, the narrative reports that we need to keep, and at the same time the budget. And also we can utilize our page, the SCSC page if ever, to be able to utilize that and to foster awareness among every ASCOtians. Thank you.
And for our last question for the candidates for secretary, bilang isang aspiring SCSC Executive Secretary, paano mo masisiguro na may boses ka sa mga desisyon at usapin ng konseho at hindi ka lamang tagagawa ng letters, minutes, at related documents?
Good morning once again. The main goal of the secretary is to take minutes of the meeting, record things, but I think that our role goes beyond that because we are as well part of the council. We are here as a secretary to be able to pitch ideas as well in the meeting and not just to listen. Because as a student leader, that's just not our goal. We should be multifaceted. And I think that we can utilize this being multifaceted, our skill set in knowing and leading and in voicing out to be the representation. I stand here as a student of political science, and I think that other than my position is that I can utilize this to be able to relate my experiences as a student and to collaborate with other students as well to pitch ideas easily in the student tree and not just be there to write minutes of the meeting because our role goes beyond that, and I think that we should use our skill set other than just writing, keeping minutes of meeting to be able to foster progressive leadership and service leadership. Thank you.
As running for the executive secretary position, of course, one of the requirements is to know and understand what position you hold. However, I agree with Ms. Mauro that the secretary isn't just someone who writes the letters, the minutes, and such, but also a part of a council. We should use this position to advance goals that we ourselves believe in. Sa amin po sa SICAP, kung mapapansin niyo po sa amin po mga plataforma, ay magkakaiba po ang nilagay po namin plataforma per position. That speaks of our autonomy. Na kami po ay, sa amin pong background po bilang mga presidente at mga student leaders po ng various organizations ng ASCOT, kami po ay nagkaroon po ng chance na mag-develop po sa bawat isa sa amin kung ano yung mga nakikita naming mga problema, kahinaan at mga pangangailangan po ng ating institusyon at ating mga estudyante. At dito po, pinapakita po na ang bawat isa po sa amin, kung sino man po ang manalo at sino po ang hindi man pala rin, ay gusto po na magtrabaho sa konseho at advance ko naman po advokasya ang aming pong mga binabalak po na ibigay po sa atin po mga estudyante. At ako po bilang isang education student, isa po sa mga natutunan po talaga namin sa classroom ay ang pag-move on sa isang teacher-centered na classroom at ang pagpunta sa isang student-centered na classroom. Bakit po hindi natin i-apply yon sa atin po na atin pong ASCOT? Tumigil po tayo na mag-focus sa mga leader na meron lang pong gustong gawin sa kanila. Kung hindi makinig po tayo sa kung ano po ang kagustuhan ng ating mga estudyante. Ako po bilang isang estudyante din, gusto ko po na ngayon po sabihin dito na isa po sa mga background ko po at advokasya na gusto ko po din i-push ay development po ng sports. Bukod po sa sports, syempre ako hindi naman ganun, e-sports. Bakit hindi po tayo magkaroon ng mga community tournaments dito sa loob ng ASCOT na hindi lang isang school, kundi lahat po tayo. Ganun po na hindi lang po isang secretary, kundi tayo po ay member ng konseho. Yan lamang po.
Thank you. Thank you for answering the questions. Now let's move on to the Vice President for Zabali Campus. Again, the questions are from the students who responded to the Google Forms that was posted in the page of the bots. Good morning. Your first question is, what is one big problem in Zabali campus that no one has fixed yet? And what's your plan to solve it this school year? Again, what is one big problem in Zabali campus that no one has fixed yet? And what's your plan to solve it this school year? Let's start with SICAP Party.
Hello. Okay, so the issue I saw here on my campus is that it lacks of facilities, where the students ay nag-aaral lang sila sa ilalim ng mga puno, hallways, and I believe that this kind of problem must addressed in our in higher up so that we can have a solution for this, because I believe that we must have facilities for our students na makakapag-aral sila ng maayos, because we, as a student leader, voice out the needs of our students.
So, good morning to everyone. Ang isang issue naman po ang nakikita ko dito sa ASCOT is yung reproductive health natin. Kasi lahat ng kabataan dito, dahil lahat mayroon lakas ng resistensya para sumubok sa inaraw-araw. Lalo na pagpapasok sila sa lamig, sa init, kasi ang panahon dito sa ASCOT, pabago-bago. Pero din dito po sa aming plataforma, nasa programa namin na we advocate for informed health and empower students. Through reproductive health programs, we aim to provide ASCOTians with accurate information, access to services, and a safe space for open discussion. This initiative promotes awareness, responsibility, and well-being, helping students make informed decisions about their health and future.
So proceed po tayo sa next question. Amidst the scorching heat here in Baler, students wear civilian outfits rather than wearing uniforms, making it hard to distinguish students, faculties, and outsiders from each other, invoking social and security risk. Do you think that schools need to speech or address wearing uniform mandatory? Why or why not? Again, amidst the scorching heat here in Baler, students wear civilian outfits rather than wearing uniforms, making it hard to distinguish students, faculties, and outsiders from each other, invoking social and security risk. Do you think that schools need to speech or address wearing uniform mandatory? Why or why not? Let's start with Hiraya Party.
So regarding po sa wearing uniforms, meron po tayong ID which is dito natin madidistinguish kung anong department, kung faculty ba, kung forestry, kung tourism, kung engineering yung mga students. Kasi din naman pwedeng katulad namin as a tourism student, may uniform po kami pero din naman pwede all the time suit namin yun kasi nga sobrang init. Kasi sa sobrang init, magkakasakit po yung mga tao, mamaya may heat stroke, ay di problema pa. Kailangan natin solusyonan yan. Pero meron naman po ang solusyon dito katulad ng department uniform, department t-shirts na pwedeng dito rin po natin ma-distinguish kung anong department, kung faculty or students yung mga bata. Yun lang po.
So for me it is must that we wear our school uniforms to identify kung ano or saan tayo galing na schools. For me, the only thing na nakikita ko dito is that maybe we should have a well-ventilated classroom kasi if well-ventilated ang classroom, students can wear their school uniforms so that they can easily identify. So I think hindi sa wearing uniforms ang problema na nasa facilities or doon sa classroom ng mga bata. That would be all. Thank you.
So, the last question for the Vice President for Zabali Campus. Para sa iyo, ano ang mas mahalaga? Tagumpay or tiwala? Bakit?
So for me, I would go for tiwala. Dahil pag may tiwala tayo sa isa't isa o sa ating mga kasamahan, makakamit natin ang tagumpay. So we must unite, we must trust everyone. We must trust everyone so that we can reach the top of, or we can reach our vision or end mission in our school. That would be all. Thank you.
Para sa akin naman po, ako ay mas mahalaga ang tiwala. Kasi ang tiwala magmumula yan sa mga estudyante. Kaya nga tayo nandito ngayon kasi nire-representa natin sila dahil meron silang tiwala sa atin. Nandito tayo ngayon para magkaroon ng tagumpay. Dahil sila nagtitiwala sa atin para magserbisyo sa kanila at patuloy na magkaroon ng progresibong pamumuno dito sa ASCOT. Dahil sa Hiraya, ang progresibong pamumuno, tiyak na ASCOTians ang panalo. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your answers. You may now be seated. So, hinga muna ng malalim before we proceed to our debate proper.
Okay, thank you for those great answers during our question and answer segment. We are now moving into the open forum segment of our program. In this segment, we'll open the floor for a more dynamic exchange. Debate, sorry.
Okay, so let me read the rules for the debate proper. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to present their argument, followed by a 2-minute rebuttal from the opposing party. Each candidate will also have 2 minutes of closing statement. And reminder, please show respect and professionalism at all times. So, are you ready, candidates? For the candidates for president muna. The first topic for our debate proper. The question is, should the student government prioritize large-scale events or focus on smaller events? Let me repeat the question. Should the student government prioritize large-scale events or focus on smaller events? You may now start, Uriah Party, with your
I don't
argument.
think there should be a balance between large-scale event and small-scale event. Especially, ang tinitingnan natin dito is hindi kung gaano ito kalaki or gaano ito kaliit. Ang tinitingnan natin dito, number 1, kung beneficial ba to sa estudyante. Number 2, nakaka-promote ba to ng common good. At number 3, kung ito ba ay mas makakatulong pa sa progresibong pagbabago ng mga estudyante. It is not the matter of how big or how small the event is. It is a matter of how it is essential or how it would uplift the studentry. Thank you.
You may start with your argument, Sikap Party. Your argument about the topic.
For me, we need to do large-scale events. By this, magkakaroon ng collaboration ang lahat ng school and magkakaroon ng malaking involvement ang ASCOT. Dapat walang mali-left behind, dapat ay involved. Normal na estudyante ka man, student leader ka man. Dapat magkaroon tayo ng mas maraming inter-school events para ma-develop ang collaboration ng between schools. Thank you.
Are you ready for your rebuttal, Mr. President?
I am.
You may start.
Okay. Sa large-scale event natin, hindi lang naman siya doesn't mean that when it is large-scale event, yun lang yung nakakapag-benefit sa mga students. Hindi ibig sabihin na large-scale ang event. Ibig sabihin, we are now not prioritizing the small-scale event. Ano ba ang example na large-scale events? Yung nga ginaya ng sabi ni Ms. Shari about the siguro intrapersonal relations ng schools also to other organizations. Yes, that is an example of a large-scale event. large-scale event. However, there are also small-scale event. Naniniwala kami na nakapagbe-benefit pa rin sa student the same way or the same importance as the large-scale event. Like for example, kasama sa aming plataforma ang pagkakaroon ng mental health awareness campaigns. Yung amin ditong pinaplanong activities and platforms ay we can say that it is a small scale. But the small scale na yon, naniniwala ako that through that small steps, nagkakaroon ng large development sa ating studentry. Nakakapag-promote siya ng hindi lang basta common good, but a greater good para sa lahat, even if it is small things. The same way happens when empowering the voices of the studentry. Every voice matters, especially the smallest ones. The same way as the events, large-scale man yan or small scales, as if it is beneficial to the students, then we go for it. Thank you.
You may rebut now, Ms. President.
Hello. So, considering na regardless if it's small or large-scale event, so hypothetically speaking, what if we do small-scale event? Don't you think other students will feel that they are not part of your program or activity?
Actually, yung kung titingnan natin ay yung participation or the students being part of the event, even a small scales one, lahat naman doon makakapag-participate, especially if they see it as something beneficial. It doesn't have to be a large event. It doesn't have to be an engrande na event or event na lahat masasakop. Even on small scales event, marami pa rin yung estudyante ang makikipag-participate, especially if they see it as something na sabi ko nga, beneficial at nakakatulong talaga sa kanila. Like for example, ano pa ba yung bukod sa plataforma ko na mental health awareness campaigns, which we can say a small-scale event, we could also consider a small-scale event, yung free civil service examination and seminar. Kasi I believe na even though small scale siya, kasi hindi naman lahat makikater natin, but as much as possible, we make something to provide the maximum number of students na makakapag-participate sa ganitong klase ng event. And that way, we can categorize it as a small scale one, pero nakikita natin yung direct benefits nito sa mga estudyante in a way na nakakapag-produce tayo ng mga estudyante na well-equipped sa kanilang future and to their professional growth. Thank you.
So, reminder, that is counted as your closing argument since you rebutted from her question. You may start your closing argument, Sikap Party.
Bilang naging presidente ako ng school and I have witnessed kung ano ang importansya ng large-scale event. I mean, I'm not disregarding small-scale event na beneficial. However, bilang ASCOTians na mas okay or mas nade-develop ang ating unity, ang ating social aspect sa mga large-scale events tulad ng ng foundation, ng intramurals. Sa mga large-scale na event, pwede tayong makadiscover ng isang talented na student na what if we do small-scale event na yung student pala na yon ay hindi kasama sa list ng participants dahil small-scale event. So, limited ang mga students na makaka-attend or participant. So, paano pa natin madidiscover ang talento or capabilities ng isang student? Kasi tulad ng intramurals, kung hindi tayo gagawa ng mga activities na large scale, we cannot develop different aspects of the student. I mean, hindi natin makikater or hindi natin mabibigyang pansin yung mga students na nandyan lang sa tabi na they are not, wag nating ipa-feel sa mga student na ang isang activity ay para lamang sa student leader. Ang isang activity ay para lamang sa ganito. Let's do activities wherein every ASCOTian will participate. Thank you.
Right. So the second topic is, how can the student government increase student participation in campus events and activities? Will you make attendance mandatory? Again, how can the student government increase student participation in campus events and activities? Will you make attendance mandatory? You may start CCAP party.
I will make attendance mandatory, but if the reason of the student is valid, then we'll accept it. Alam nyo, ang tagumpay ng isang event ay hindi lang nasa leader, hindi lang sa nag-organize ng event, but ang success ng isang activity ay nasa participants. Kung gumawa ka man ng sobrang gandang activity, pero ang mga students ay hindi interested sa ginawa mong activity, yung effort mo masasayang. So for me, we need to do mandatory attendance, but let's consider din yung mga reasons ng mga bata. Then we should address it and think of more innovative solutions kung paano natin talaga may engage yung mga students when it comes to our student activities.
I will never agree with the mandatory school activity. Number one, it is a violation of student autonomy. Hindi natin dito nire-respeto ang diversity of interest, personality, and capacity ng mga estudyante. Actually, yung violation pang sa student autonomy, that's actually unconstitutional. Nakapaloob na agad sa 1987 Constitution sa Article 3, Section 1, which is the Bill of Rights, no person shall be deprived of their life, property, and liberty without due process. Kasama na doon yung pagkakaroon ng free will ng estudyante para pumili ng events. Pangalawa, ang pagkakaroon ng mandatory school activities ay nakakapag-promote ng economic burden. Kasama na dito na kung bibigyan natin ng penalty ang mga estudyante upang kapag hindi sila sumama dahil wala silang excuse letter, nagiging financially unstable sila. Nakaka-affect sila sa financial burden ng mga estudyante at mas naapektuhan pa ang kanilang living, especially sa kanilang pag-survive dito sa institusyon na to. Pangatlo, it promotes increase in stress and as well as in burnout. And furthermore, kasi due to the idea na yung event, sinasabi natin na mandatory, nagiging compliance siya instead of something that students have the free will and the confidence to join. So, therefore, it does not promote academic growth and instead promoting mental stress as well as in burnout. Thank you.
You may rebut now.
For me, as a student, dapat alam mo na ang school na ito ay may rules and policies. And for me, as a student, we should participate in activities. Para sa akin, kasi ang engagement or participation ng student ay makaka-develop ng different aspeto sa kanila. Mental, physical, lalo na ang social. So, how can we encourage students if we will not do mandatory? Again, I'm saying now we should do mandatory attendance, but if the reason of the student is valid, then we should accept it.
Since is what have you mentioned earlier, na part siya ng siguro sabi mo ng rules ng institution, yung pag-join sa ganitong activities. Let me ask you, Ms. Shari, can you provide a specific article and section sa Constitution and bylaws nyo, siguro sa forestry, or sa even sa student handbook, na nagsasabing allowed dapat ang mandatory school activity sa mga estudyante?
Being the president of School of Forestry and Environmental Sciences, I don't know the exact article and section, but in our CBL, we have penalties of if ever na maging hindi ka umattend sa ganitong activity. Why? Why we have penalty in our school? Kasi ang hirap, bilang student leader, napakamahirap kunin ng engagement and participation ng isang estudyante. Bilang leader, nakikita kong point of view ko para i-mandatory ang attendance is, I want to see, gusto kong makita nila kung ano yung activity na niready namin for them. Kasi first and foremost, yung activity na yon ay para sa kanila. Then, wala silang interest na attend or makita man lang yung activity na niready namin for them. Yes.
Okay. So, ang pag-attend ng mga estudyante kasi sa mga activity, they attend the activity if they see it as something na beneficial o nakakatulong sa kanila. I can categorize to two category ang mga activity. Number one, it could be performative or ginagawa lang natin siya for compliance, kung saan pinaprioritize natin ang uniformity over creativity as well as rigidity, not freedom. Kung performative ang activity natin at nakikita yung that way ng mga student, hindi talaga sila mag-gravitate toward those activities. Hindi talaga sila magpa-participate sa mga activity yon. That is why we have to create activities that are developmental. Developmental in a sense na nakakatulong siya sa mga estudyante na kung saan nagkakaroon ng engagement, collaborative effort, at yung benepisyo niya directly nakukuha ng mga estudyante. Directly nila nakikita kung gaano ito kalaga kung sila ay makikipag-participate because those ways, yun yung mga paraan upang mapasama natin ang mga estudyante natin without making these activities mandatory kung saan pinaprioritize natin yung academic freedom ng mga estudyante. Which is why this leads me to my question to Ms. Shari. In what way your activities are classified as developmental or performative if you resort to penalizing students for not joining by using penalty fees?
Excuse me. The other party don't have enough time to answer the question because that is the closing argument. Thank you. So let's move on to the last question or topic. Should the student government prioritize protecting students' right to free speech, even if it means allowing potential controversial opinions to be expressed on campus? I repeat, should the student government prioritize protecting students' right to free speech, even if it means allowing potential controversies to be expressed on campus? Your time starts now.
I am definitely agree na dapat bilang student leaders ay pinoprotektahan natin ang rights ng mga estudyante to their freedom of speech. Number one, kasama sa ating plataforma ang Student Help Desk or Tell Us.
Bigay nagpa-sponsor sa Aurora ko. Kaya kayo na ganyan eh. Natulog pala yung patanong. Ginagana niya yung pista. Kaya daw sila nag-inform na may meeting na naman. Dapat pala militeran. At this is specifically in time. Tapos, sign by. Ano pala?
repeat the guidelines?
Yes po.
Here are the rules for the debate proper. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to present their argument, followed by a 2-minute rebuttal from the opposing party. Each candidate will also have 2 minutes for a closing statement. And please show respect and professionalism at all times. Thank you.
So let me just repeat the last question. Should student government prioritize protecting students' right to free speech, even if it means allowing potential controversies to be expressed on campus? You may continue with your argument.
Yung ganyang klaseng problema ay nakita na natin hindi lamang sa mga estudyante but also to journalists themselves. As a member of the Voice of the Sierra before, as the Associate Editor-in-Chief, we are all aware kung anong klaseng mga censorship ang nilalabanan ng mga campus journalists, hindi lamang sa institution but also on other institutions. And that is why mahalaga sa amin na i-priority na hindi lamang yung voice namin as journalists ang magyanig, but also yung mga voice ng mga estudyante. And that is why we created platforms which is Student Help Desk or Tell Us Space. Kasama rito ang pagpo-provide ng anonymous boxes kung saan pwedeng mag-share ng feedback, suggestions, or concern ang mga estudyante nang hindi kailangan i-reveal ang kanilang identity. Naniniwala ang aming party na mahalaga ang bawat boses kahit pa ang pinakamaliliit. That is why naninindigan kami na dapat kami ay gumawa ng action, anuman ang concern na yan, kung reklamo yan about sa faculty, pupuntahan namin yan personally as your student leader and your voice. Thank you.
Argument po.
So when it comes to protecting free speech, I don't think kailangan pa siya ng rebuttal or argument. Like hindi siya issue na kailangang pagtalunan kasi first and foremost as a student leader, kailangan nating pakinggan ang boses ng mga estudyante, maliit man o majority or iisang estudyante man yung may concern. We need to listen and speak up for them. Thank you.
Rebuttal po.
Yes, the student freedom to voice out their opinions is actually something that we should not debate for. However, the way that we should make these voices resonate from every campus or every studentry is something that we should consider to question. Ano yung mga paraan na maaari nating gawin para mas ma-mobilize pa ito? Ano pa yung mga paraan na pwede nating gawin para maisakatuparan natin ang freedom ng mga estudyante? And that is why I am telling you my platforms because naniniwala ko that through this way, even though nakikita natin that a small step, naniniwala ko that it could create a better environment and better learning system para sa mga estudyante na kung saan na kanilang nasasabi ang kanilang opinions, nakakasabi nila ang kanilang suggestions as well as their concerns to the administration as well as on the students' leaders. Thank you.
Closing argument po.
Yes, ang SICAP party ay ina-encourage na ang bawat estudyante ay maging bukas ang isip sa lahat ng mga nangyayari sa ating institusyon. Ang aming party ay mayroong nag-encourage kami may platform kami na channel of communication. By then, pwede silang magbigay ng feedbacks, suggestions, and concern. Dahil naniniwala ko na ang isang leader ay dapat bukas ang mata at bukas ang isip at bukas ang bibig para ipaglaban ang bawat ASCOTians. Thank you.
Thank you for your answers. Now, Let's call on the Executive Vice President for the debate proper. And so we have the same rules, 2 minutes of argument, 2 minutes for rebuttals, and 2 minutes for closing statement. The first topic or question is, how can student leaders represent students they barely engage with? Again, how can student leaders represent students they're barely engaged with? Let's start with SCSC party.
I'm sorry, but please come again.
Again, the question is, how can student leaders represent students that they barely engage with or communicate with?
And we as the student leaders, we should always think of something that is, we should think of a realistic way para masolusyonan yung mga problema. And isa sa naiisip kong solution doon is by communicating to our deans or instructors of the students. Of course, hindi naman natin sila, hindi tayo magbibigay ng mandato o pipilitin na magbaba ng isang resolution or anumang utos na pinipilit ang bawat estudyante. But we as student leaders, we should communicate to the higher ups. In that way, sila na may kakayahan para, and sila yung nakakasalamuha mas madalas ng mga estudyante. So they have the power to encourage and persuade the students to participate. And in that way, hindi natin kailangan na magbigay ng mandato na unethical, bagkus ginamit natin sa tamang paraan yung mga pwede nating gamitin or gawin. Thank you.
Question, please. Thank you so much.
Again, the question is, how can student leaders represent students they barely engage with?
Good morning once again, ladies and gentlemen, and in between. So I believe that we can address the student needs even without engagement. And I think as I served as the president of our major, the English Association of Student Teachers, in making decisions, plans, and actions, I always make sure to listen to their voices, to their opinions, and what they really need. So I think that in making actions, it should align to the interests of the students. So one of the platforms that is close to our heart, Hiraya, to cater the student needs without engagement, is to start with it. I think we should foster collaboration within us. So one of our platform is the Tell Us Space or the Student Help Desk, wherein students may go to ask their questions, to voice out their opinions, as well as our the podcast that we are planning to do to collaborate with the students to share what really their needs for us to cater them. So I believe because as a student leader, we are not here just to stand and decide for ourselves. We are here to cater their needs and represent them. So that is also, thank you so much.
Let me clear something po. This is, yung next 2 minutes po is for closing na po, right?
Rebuttal.
Rebuttal. Okay
Yes.
po. Come on, let us be realistic. Kahit gaano natin kapagpaguran ang isang activity, kahit gaano natin ibuhos lahat ng energy na meron tayo, yung oras natin, maging realistic tayo na hindi lahat ng estudyante is gusto yung ginagawa or yung activity na nangyayari. I think mas maganda na kahit anuhin natin na nakikinig tayo sa students, halimbawa na lang, ang gusto ng estudyante or ng majority is magkaroon tayo ng intramural. Let us be realistic. Not all students are into sports. Di ba? Kasi nagpo-focus tayo in more imaginary thing. Sa palagay ko, mas maganda na gamitin natin yung resources na meron tayo. Kung ano yung mas magandang gawin natin, and mas magandang gawin yun. But, of course, tama naman na makinig tayo sa students. But, ayun nga, kaharapin natin yung realidad na kahit lahat ng resources, lahat ng energy gamitin mo, hindi lahat ng student is makikiparticipate. And that is I'm speaking based on experience. Kaya masasabi ko na, ayun, gamitin natin kung ano yung pwede natin gamitin na tool or way para ma-encourage yung students. Ayun.
I think that we are not being responsive to the question. What we are talking about here is listening to the students. It's how we serve the students even if we don't have engagement to them. That's why we are here proposing a platform that is the tele-space or the help desk of students, wherein we can amplify their voices. They can share their insights, they can share their opinions, and what they really want to do, or what really aligns to their interests. So I believe that by promoting our platform here in Hiraya, we are engaging with the students, therefore creating policies and plans that is aligned to them. So that is also, thank you so much.
Yes, closing argument.
Yes. All student leaders run because they want to be the voice of the students. That is the reality. Lahat tayo andito kasi gusto natin ipaglaban kung ano ang nararapat na nakikita natin na hindi naibibigay para sa estudyante. Ngayon, wala naman, di ko sinabi na hindi natin papakinggan yung estudyante. But if we will focus just on sa students lang, tanggapin natin na hindi pare-pareho ang kung ano ang gusto ng estudyante. And hindi tayo pare-pareho ng interes. So, papaano natin may encourage yung mga students na sumama kahit hindi nila interest yun? The first thing na may suggest ko as running po, if ever that I will be the Executive Vice President of this year's Student Council, is to be innovative, to think of something na halimbawa, magkakaroon tayo ng intramurals, do something na makakapag-engage yung mga students na hindi lamang basta tayo magpapa-basketball, magpapa-volleyball, hindi naman lahat ng student naggaganoon, di ba? And to finish my statement, mahalaga na makinig tayo sa estudyante, pero mahalaga rin na pahalagahan natin kung ano yung boses ng council, kasi may mga pangyayari na hindi alam ng student, may mga nangyayari sa higher ups na hindi alam ng student na nakaka-apekto sa pag-ano ng activity. That's why, by integrating the ideas of the students and the student council is a way para magawa natin ng maayos yung activity kung saan magpa-participate and mape-persuade yung mga students. Thank you.
Therefore, I think the other party agree with me with listening to the student voices. I believe that I also agree with him that we come from different backgrounds, which is we have diverse opinions. That's why I think we need to listen to them and find common grounds, like what we are doing here in Hiraya. We find common grounds to collaborate with each other. Because I believe first thing first is communication. We must have proper communication, clear communication. We must foster clarity between the student and the officers that is serving them, because I believe through that we can really uplift their needs. So I believe that also in involving the students in creating programs and events like acquaintances, I believe that through that we can foster collaboration, we can foster camaraderie. Therefore, I believe that we can uplift really what the students need, because that is why we are here, to serve them and to represent them. That is all. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So another question, this will be the last for the Executive Vice President. If you are elected as the Vice President, and if your President makes a decision you strongly disagree with, will you support it for the sake of unity or oppose it publicly? Again, if your President makes a decision you strongly disagree with, will you support it for the sake of unity or will you oppose it publicly? You may start, Hiraya Party.
I believed in opposition or differences in opinions or beliefs. We must always put first the needs of the students. Even though we have different opinions from my president or whom I will work with, I think the first thing first is the student needs. So I believe that setting aside our differences and focusing on our shared beliefs and promoting really what the student needs is what we need to put first. So let me contextualize this. If my president don't align with my opinions or I don't agree with her opinions, it's a matter of it really benefits them. Because I believe if there's a smoke, there's a fire. So I believe if I disagree with the president, there is really something with it. If it really benefits the student, so we must put that into mind first. So we are not here to put a fight with each other. We are here to collaborate and come together to represent and amplify the voices of the students much louder. So thank you.
Excuse me. Ate Rai, can you, ano po yung tanong ulit?
So again, if your president makes a decision you strongly disagree with, will you support it for the sake of your unity or will you oppose it publicly?
Okay, ganito po kasi yan, as stated sa Article 10 ng CBL ng SCSC, tayo ang head ng bawat vice president ng bawat campuses. Why don't we try to ask them or call for a meeting tapos pag-usapan ng mas larger and mas malaking bilang ng ng mga leader estudyante. In that way, malalaman natin kung ano yung reason ni President why he or she kept on pursuing that activity. And ako, bilang vice-presidente ng konseho, dapat, kung ako ay oppose doon sa gusto niya, hindi naman po pwede na kaming dalawa lang yung magbanggaan. Kaming dalawa lang yung magdebate patungkol sa isang activity. That's why meron tayong mga kasama. And we should work as one council. That's why kung ano yung magiging opinion o magiging desisyon ng konseho, dapat desisyon ng nakararami at hindi lamang ni presidente o ni vice-presidente. Ayun po. Thank you.
Yes, indeed. So the president is not the sole leader or the sole decision-making in the council. It must come from all the members of the council, from different officers, whether it is from the Basal, from the Zabali, or the Stebes campus. Because I believe that, like what we are promoting here in Hiraya, the students' needs come first. So in creating programs, we must focus on that. Since I believe that finding common grounds with the president is what matters, supporting them, because one of the job of the executive vice president is to support the president, even though I believe it is not aligned with the beliefs. Because I believe when our beliefs are not aligned, therefore a plan or a policy will not be implemented in the right way, because in the inside of the council there is contrast. So I believe we must unite to promote what the students really need and to show what the council is really for. Thank you.
You may rebut with the opposition's statement.
Based on my understanding, the other party is trying to say na kahit hindi na align yung gusto ni Vice President, is kailangan niyang sumang-ayon kay President for the sake of unity. I think that is not a good thing, lalo na kung welfare ng students ang pinag-uusapan natin. Kaya nga tayo may sari-sariling opinion, kahit hindi pare-pareho ang ating posisyon, may sarili-sarili tayong opinion. And that's why we should always keep on sa decision ng majority. We should use the ideology of utilitarianism, wherein the benefits of the majority should be always our top tier priority. Hindi po pwede na si presidente o si vice-presidente o ang iilan lamang ang magdedesisyon. Paano natin may ipakita yung sinasabi natin, napapakinggan natin ang bawat isa? Kung at the end of the day, decision of someone lang din yung nasusunod. Best way para maipakita natin, or best way para to make sure na tumatalima tayo sa conclusion ng nakararami is to show and to prove. And magagawa lamang natin iyon kung kung sisiguraduhin natin na yung desisyon ng nakararami ang palaging masusunod. Hindi lamang hindi tayo magpa-focus more on hierarchy, but rather the benefit of many. Ayun lang po. Thank you.
I think the other party is not comprehensive with my answer. What I have stated is, the question is, what if the Vice President's opinion or beliefs doesn't align to the President? It's not a talk about the majority. So I believe if my beliefs does not align to the President, we should have found common grounds and to collaborate with one another. However, yes, the decision of the majority is needed. However, there are situations where we need to make actions. Where we need to make actions in that specific situation. So I believe that if the President believes that is what for the better of the student, then I should submit to it, not fight with it. Thank you.
You may state your closing arguments.
Ayun, sige, let us back to the question again po. Kung hindi ako medyo lumayo yung the other party sa statement ko po. Kung hindi sang-ayon si Vice Presidente kay sa desisyon ni President, kung tama, kaya nga palagi natin yung desisyon ng nakararami, hindi lang tayo. Kasi kung tayo yung patuloy na magbabanggaan, kung si President or si Vice President yung patuloy na mag-aaway, mag-uusap patungkol doon, hindi tayo makakapag-generate ng more idea. Kasi nalak na tayo dun sa idea lang nating dalawa. So, kasi kung gusto ko nito, ipipilit ko talaga yon. Pero kung meron na idea na iba na nakakapekto sa pagdedesisyon ni Vice Presidente at ni President, maaaring mahanap na natin doon yung pagkakasundo or yung sinasabi ni Miss Bincy na common ground. Kailangan laging ini-integrate natin yung council natin sa pagdedesisyon kasi unang-una, we should work as one and kasama natin sila. Hindi palaging yung posisyon ang masusunod. Mag-focus tayo sa tignan natin na lahat naman tayo estudyante, lahat tayo nakakaranas nung siguro mga bagay na darating yung araw pag dedebatehan ni President or ni Vice President. And kung mas maraming isip ang magtutulong-tulong para himayin at pag-usapan ang isang bagay na nararanasan ng nakararami is, ayun, doon natin malalaman at mahanap natin yung perpekto at siguradong sagot sa isang bagay na hindi pinagkakasunduan.
Alright, your time is up. Thank you for your responses. So before we proceed with the debate proper for the VP for Zabali campus, let me remind the online viewers to ask questions on the comments for our open forum later. VP for Zabali campus. Ayan, so now we have the Vice President for Zabali campus. Your first question is, do you believe student protests are still effective on campus, or should we rely solely on formal communication channels? Again, do you believe that student protests are still effective on campus, or should we only rely on formal communication channels? You may start. Yes.
Hello. I do believe that student protest is... Mas naniniwala ako na okay pa rin ang student protest kasi sa aming party, we promote on activism, pero madadaan din naman siya sa formal. Kasi pag tama ang estudyante, talaga ipaglalaban namin kasi nga kaya kami nandito para sa kanila. Para makinig kami at magrepresenta sa kanila.
Okay, so for me, I will reverse the answer of the other party. First, we must have the formal meeting so we can discuss the issues or the things that we need to discuss on the body first before to the students. And after may pasa or may communicate yung mga decisions or yung mga napag-usapan during that formal meeting and hindi sang-ayon ng mga estudyante, then they can protest on that kind of situation or decisions from the student body. Thank you.
So reminder, before we start speaking, tingnan muna natin yung cue dito sa moderators for the time. So you may rebut now. Hiraya party. You only have 1 minute and 30 seconds. Okay, so let's proceed with the rebuttals of SCSC party.
So, okay. So here, I have a platform like roundtable meetings like in my campus or sa nasasakupan kong campus, which is the Zabali campus. I would have this kind of meetings na a-attend ang mga president from different organizations to discuss what is the issues need to address and ano yung mga solution din na nakikita nila doon. So that is a kind of formal meeting that we must have before reacting na agad-agad dun sa issue na yun without thinking properly. So for me, I would have this formal meeting, and if hindi talaga nasolusyonan o nagustuhan ng mga student, then we are open for school protest or student protest here in our campus, which is Zabali campus.
You may now start your closing statement. Uriah Party.
So yung formal meeting given naman na yan sa atin, lahat naman ng organization, kailangan natin pag-usapan muna bago lumabas, bago natin ipresenta, bago tayo magprotesta sa kung anong tama at kung anong mali. Yun lang.
Okay, so now for the closing statement of the other party.
So I don't really have the closing statement because nasabi ko na po kanina sa statement ko, but rather, again, magpapakilala ko sa inyo nakapagpakilala kanina. I am Cassandra Angelica Pipalakay from SCSC Party, running for VP Zabali campus. That would be all. Thank you.
Ayan, thank you so much. So we still have one other question for you to answer. Should the Vice President for Zabali take a stand on controversial student issues or stay neutral to maintain campus harmony? Again, should the Vice President for Zabali campus take a stand on controversial student issues, for example, dress code, or stay neutral to maintain campus harmony? You may start SCSC Party.
Hello. So, for me, kailangan kong ipaghiwalay ang aking opinion, ang aking personal na opinion sa isang student body. But ang i-raise ko is that the majority or kung ano yung welfare for the students, yun yung yun yung i-embody ko, kung ano yung para sa estudyante at hindi yung para sa sarili ko lamang. Yan lang.
For your first argument, Uriah Party VP for Zabali. Question. So let me repeat the question. Should the Vice President take a stand on controversial student issues, for example, dress code, or should they stay neutral to maintain campus harmony?
In terms of controversial issues naman po, lalo na sa dress code, meron pa tayong student handbook na kailangan basahin para aware din naman yung mga estudyante natin kung ano yung pwede nilang isuot sa din nila pwede isuot. Kasi may time na din naman natin napipigilan na discriminate sila kahit di rin naman nila gustuhin. Kasi nga, din natin problema yung nakikita ng iba. Kasi magkakaiba tayo ng opinion. Pero bilang Vice President, you will serve as the official voice and representative of the council in your campus.
Ayan, so now rebut Miss VP for Zabali.
So I think the student tree is well aware of the student handbook. However, some of our students are raising concerns about this kind of issues. So we, as a student leader, must address or amplify those voices and raise up this kind of issues to higher ups so that they can address this kind of issues and also to have a solution in this kind of issues. And I believe, answering to the question, I, as a woman, I do believe or I support LGBT community and I support them on cross-dressing. But however, I must consult first my body to decide something that is really important for the student. So, as a student leader, before you speak up, you must know what is the opinion, what is the problem, and what is the issues that need to address. That would be all. Thank you.
Ayan, time for your rebuttal, Uriah Party. You may start now.
katulad nga naman ng sinabi ni Miss Cassandra na dapat nga nating alamin lahat kung saan nagsisimula at paano natin sasolusyonan yung mga ganitong issues. Pero din naman, all the time, kailangan pa natin ipunta sa higher ups. Kung kailangan naman, tayo mismo mga students, kaya na nating solusyonan yan, nande sila nadadamay. Yun lang po.
Okay, for the closing statement, you may begin.
I think there are still issues that need to address na ilalagay or ipaparating sa higher ups because we student leaders, some of things that we cannot amend by ourselves. Like we have things na kailangan din natin ng consultations from higher ups. What I mean to higher ups is those executives in our student body. So I, as a vice president, ang nasasakupan ko, which is the Zabali campus, all the organizations here in my campus, I am their parang ex officio. I am the head of that cabinet, whereas I would raise those issues to the executives so that they can discuss this, they can open this, they can raise these issues and talk about it and to have solutions about this kind of matter. So I believe also that hindi lang bilang isang VP sa Bali, nakapokus na rin ako sa aking campus only, but also I openly collaborate to other kind of organizations outside this campus, like going outside this campus, like going to Basal, benchmark their best activities, their best practices, so that we can adapt it and apply those practices, best practices here in our campus, and also give our best practices to other campuses so that we unite as one, as a student, as a whole, as Scotians. Thank you.
Ayan. So, for the Hiraya VP for Zabali campus, you may now leave your closing statement.
Hello. So, there are things that are beyond our control, pero katulad ko, aminin po sa ngayon na di ko man forte ang public speaking, pero pag sa serbisyo at sa gawa, subok na ako ng HTF. Na alam nila kung paano ako naging patas, kung paano ko sila pakinggan, simulat sa pinakang dulo hanggang sa pagtaas, nandito at kasama nila. Yun lang po at maraming salamat.
Thank you so much. Now come on stage, secretaries of both parties. So we're getting near to our open forum. Start sending your questions on our live broadcast. For the secretaries of both parties, what's more important for a secretary? Loyalty to the council or accountability to the students? I repeat, what's more important for a secretary? Loyalty to the council or accountability to the students? You may start SICAP party.
Thank you for the question. I'm Prince Bacaro, running for the Executive Secretary position. And I believe that accountability is something that is a must, especially for an Executive Secretary. The secretary position is a voted position. It is not appointed and can be discharged by the president at will. It is elected and it is built on the trust of the students to the secretary-elect. I believe that the secretary position and keeping the records publicizing and being transparent in everything that the council does is an important thing that we need to uphold, especially as a secretary. And the accountability part and the accountability is much important than loyalty in the council. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I beg to disagree. I think that loyalty is more important than accountability, but in a sense that we will break down what is loyalty and accountability. First, loyalty to the council. Who is the council? The council is the SCSC, and the SCSC was elected by the student themselves. Therefore, you are being loyal. As a secretary, we are being loyal not just to the council, but to the students because we owe it to them. And that is a perfect example of service leadership, a progressive leadership that we want to exemplify and we want to foster here in ASCOT. And I think with loyalty, it also fosters accountability. Because after all, you are loyal to the students. You are them, you owe them for you to serve them what they want, what is the common good, what is for the betterment of the students. And I think we can apply here our platforms from Hiraya. And to be able to, as a secretary, remain loyal to the students through accountability in keeping records, minutes of the meeting, and keeping transparency to the students because that is what they deserve. That is what being loyal to them, and that fosters, among everything, accountability. Thank you.
And for that, you may start your rebuttal, SCSC party.
Thank you. In the SCSC, in the SCSC, I believe that accountability is the more important thing, especially for a secretary, because we need trust in the institutions that we have established. How will the student trust an SCSC that keeps to itself, that keeps everything that they do just by themselves, decides by themselves without consulting the students? By providing the documents, by providing every record that we have for the council, we give accountability to the students. We give them the chance to know what we do and give their input in what we do. We need to build a foundation for the institutions that we have. And the secretary is an elected position. That means that the students trust you to be able to do your job as the secretary, and not only for the council, but also for the student. We need to create this trust in the institution, in the SCSC, by providing external accountability and not just internal loyalty to each officer that we have. I want to ask Ms. Pauro this hypothetical question. If there comes a time where we have a controversial issue and the SCSC weighs in on it, would you prioritize loyalty or would you prioritize the accountability? Because as a secretary, I believe that we should, all of the students and ASCOT should be in the know in what is happening in the council, not only in the council but also in ASCOT. If there is an issue in finances or in anything, will we hide it as a secretary just for the loyalty for the people inside the council? That is, I don't think that is the right thing to do, because we are officers of the council, representation of the council. Therefore, our accountability is to the people that elects us and not to the council that we are a part of. Thank you.
You may start your rebutting, Ms. Mauro.
Good morning once again. To answer your question, I think what I am pointing out is that being loyal is an umbrella, a large scale of a lot of other characteristics. And I think that includes our accountability. As I have said earlier that you failed to comprehend, is that, I'm sorry. As I've said earlier, is that loyalty means you are loyal to the students and not with the council itself. Because you serve the students, you are there. The students put you to the position, and that is your main goal. You owe it to them because that is service leadership, as what I am talking about. And I think it is not being loyal to the council, but to the students. Because of, as what you asked earlier, that if there comes a time that there is an issue, and why would I choose loyalty to the council when in the first place I am talking about the loyalty to the students, because the students put who are in the council. Thank you.
For your closing statements, you may start now, SICAP Party.
Thank you. This
Ay, sorry po.
Okay, I'll repeat. Thank you. In this debate regarding accountability and loyalty, I firmly believe that accountability is the more important virtue that we have as student leaders. And I think this is something that all of us at CCAP values, accountability. We have served as officers of our various school organizations, and we have practiced accountability in everything that we have done. We try, even though sometimes studies may come in our way, we try to give our reports, narratives, financial and such, minutes in everything that we do, because we need to be accountable to the students that we serve and not to the council that we are a part of. The council is a representation, but we shouldn't be, but in leading, we must be open to controversies, we must be open to things that the students may say, and we should not keep them in the dark. We should not hide things from the students that we serve. We should not be scared of personal attacks or take everything that they say as personal attacks from us. We shouldn't be defensive in everything that we do, but we should be responsive student leaders. If ever they have concerns, let us answer them with accountability. We need to give them a chance to say their piece, and then we need to reply accordingly and put their opinions into consideration in our decisions as student councils. And I believe in CCAP. CCAP is shortened for Sigasig and Kalinga. And this is the part of Kalinga that we want to say to the ASCOTians. May kalinga po kami sa paglilingkod dahil gusto po namin marinig ang inyo pong mga hinaing. At kung ano man po yung ang trabaho ng isang executive secretary, ito po ay accountability dahil gusto po na ipakita ang kalinga sa inyong lahat. Maraming salamat po.
Ayan, thank you. So, you may start with your closing statement, Ms. Maura.
For a student council to be represented, being accountable is a must. It is a bare minimum, a characteristics that every student should have. But loyalty, it is not something that can be found in anyone, especially loyalty to the students and to the council that you will serve. And that, I think, is the big question in this issue. Because after all, you can be accountable to a lot of things that you will act. You may commit actions that are unethical. You may commit actions that are wrong. But that means that you are accountable in some way if you admit that you are wrong. However, being loyal, it will come from your heart. From what you truly want to serve as a student leader, as a progressive leader. And I think that it is not guaranteed, the loyalty, but the accountable, it is a must for every student to have. That's why I choose loyalty. Loyalty to the council and loyalty to the students who elected them. Because in Hiraya Party, we value progressive and service leadership to serve the students because they are the one who gives us the power to pitch ideas and to make ASCOT a better place, a better institution to live in. Thank you.
So, for the last question of the debate segment, is it better to be an excellent communicator who lacks perfect organization or a meticulous organizer who struggles to connect with people? Again, is it better to be an excellent communicator but lacks perfect organization or a meticulous organizer who struggles to connect with people? Let's start with Hiraya Party.
I think that just like yin yang, there should be a balance to both. As a secretary, we value organization so deep because our work is deeply rooted in organization. However, that doesn't mean that we wouldn't have time to connect with a lot of people because as a student leader, it is our goal to provide for our community, for our school, to serve the students because this is an example of progressive leadership. So I think that there should be a thin line between the two and that we should balance it because as a student leader, we should always have time to manage everything because we commit to this. And in the first place, it is our utmost responsibility to be able to serve as a secretary, to be meticulously organized in all the paperwork that we are doing, and as well as to serve our community and our school, the students, accordingly. Thank you.
For your opening argument, you may start now.
Effective communicator with lacking organization or great organizer without communication. I think that, yes, there should be a balance, but as a secretary, we should prioritize communication for everything that we do. Why communication? I think as a secretary, it is part of our duty to manage the internal communications of our council. The minutes of the meeting, resolutions, and such should be kept. But what use are these documents if we do not give them, we do not give the chance for people to view them, for them to understand what it means? And of course, part of this is communicating with the outside. One of our platforms is forming internal and external partnerships. If we do not make strong connections with organizations and offices in ASCOT, and even organizations outside and private entities, public and private entities, how will we fund the SCSC with just the budget that we have? We need to make partnerships, and these partnerships are made using communication. We need strong communication for the accountability that we have, and we need strong communication for the partnership we strive to have. And I believe that the balance can be stricken, but there is no use in being a secretary if you are not an effective communicator. So I think that there is a lack in that balance. There is a flaw in that balance. If we strive for balance, it's like serving two masters at once. We need to be able to prioritize one or the other, and prioritizing the communication in order to build partnerships and foundation for that is more important. Thank you.
Thank you. You may start with your argument again.
As a student leader, it is already given that we will juggle between our academics and at the same time our responsibilities. So I think, as opposed to Mr. Bracaro had said, that the balance has a flaw, I think the balance shouldn't have a flaw. Because as a student leader, you shall be committed, accountable, and loyal to what you choose to serve. You choose to sign up for this. So why are you not going to have balance between those two? Especially as a secretary who keep records, who do the writings and everything. And you need to be a good communicator as well, because as a leader, it shall be inherent to us to be a good communicator. Because we leaders, we socialize with a lot of people for our constituents, and at the same time, we assess things. And I think that we can use those capabilities and skill set to be able as well to balance not just our studies, but our record keeping as a secretary. Thank you.
For your last statement, Sikap Party.
Thank you. An excellent communicator is must as a secretary, because we manage everything, the records and the minutes that we do in the council. And I think it also extends into, by keeping record of what we do this time, we are able to pass it into the future. Now, I think that trying to strike an impossible balance between the two is impossible. We need to strive and we need to focus on what we think is the more important thing. And our priority for as an executive secretary should be balancing the communication of the council to the student that it serves. And furthermore, the partnership that we do outside our institution. When given choices like this, I think that it's important that we are able to stand in what we believe in and in the values that we are taught. And the value that I am taught is that that we need to be able to make the tough decisions to become representatives, true representatives of the student body. Furthermore, I'd like to cite myself as an example. I feel that I am an excellent organizer. When I started as president of the Mathematics Student Teacher Circle, we had a Google Drive, and that is organized according to everything, financial reports, narrative reports, proposals, minutes of meeting, and etc. And that was important in the transition. But what use would you have in the organized things if you are not able to turn it over to the next ones, to the people after you? You need communication in order to make use of your organization as a secretary. And I believe that choosing a balance is not it should not be the answer to this question, but clearly communication, because that is the essence of a secretary. Thank you.
And for the closing statement of Hiraya Party.
I firmly still believe in the balance of everything, because I stand here as an example of that very same thing. I graduated as the top of the class, and at the same time, I have managed to attend regional and national conferences that represented Aurora province. And I think to be able to do that, you just have to balance everything. That is a skill set that a leader should have, because in leading, it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of effort, and it takes a lot of specific characteristics that you need to have. But that doesn't mean that you should force yourself. It is doing one thing at a time, and it is mastering one thing at a time. Because in balance, we strive not just for progress, but also we strive for better communication, for better record keeping, and for everything to do well in our organization, because that is the essence of balance. That is the essence of yin-yang. And in everything that we do in life, there should be a balance. There should be a balance of our health as well. And I think that we should apply it in leadership, because that is very similar to life. Because if we use this, being a leader, as a playground to learn, as a playground to acquire our skills, and at the same time, our characteristics that we will use as a leader, I think we will be an effective leader, an effective communicator, and an effective leader who manage the records and at the same time all the papers that an organization needs. Thank you.
Okay, and that's the end of the debate proper. Thank you, candidates, for your arguments and participation. Thank you for those great answers during our question and answer segment. We are now moving into the open forum segment of our program. In this segment, we'll open the floor for a more dynamic exchange. Unlike the question and answer, this is less structured. Participants may engage directly with one another, ask follow-up questions, or respond to earlier points. Audience members may also continue to pose questions or comments.
Okay, so the SCSC party secretary haven't stated his closing arguments. So let's hear it before the open forum.
And thank you po. Pasensya na po sa disruption sa flow. But I think that in this debate, it is important that we are able to communicate effectively every point that we have. And I would like to take this opportunity, this closing statement opportunity, to fully give you everything that we have everything we stand for in SICA party list. I was not a student leader all my life. I just became a student leader here in ASCOT. But I strive for my academics. I graduated from a science high. I achieved honors all throughout my life. And even right now, I am getting more than good enough grades. And I am proud of everything that I have done. And that is not because I am trying to balance everything in my life. That is because I have the commitment to a single thing that I want to achieve. Before, it was academics. Now, it is leadership. And if given the chance to become the executive secretary, I would like to give this virtue that I have in focusing in one thing and giving it my all. Be it communicating the council in all of its records or in anything that I do, I would like to instill and be a role model in focusing in one thing. Because if you do excellent in one thing, everything else will follow. If you strive for excellence in one thing, excellence will follow you in everything. And I want the ASCOTians to understand that, that we can all achieve excellence if we strive in things that we are truly passionate about. And finally, I would like to say that as future educators, I believe that it is our job to be able to communicate our lessons to our students. And that is also something that we can be applied in a council. Be a communicative council, address the needs of the students, and the students will be able to feel the reform that we do in the council. That's all. Thank you very much.
Once again, that's the end of the debate proper. Thank you, candidates, for your arguments and participation. We are now moving into the open forum segment of our program.
So here are the rules for the open forum. Questions should be brief and direct. No insulting or derogatory questions allowed. Each candidate has 1 minute to answer each question. Please don't interrupt or speak while others are speaking.
So let's start with the questions sent in the Google Forms. This one is for Shari Faraon of SICA Party. So the question is, two of your main platforms focus on empowering student voices and addressing their concerns. However, during your term as organization president of Forestry Department, issues such as implementation of penalties or multa for non-attendance at events were raised and many students felt unheard. The question is, how can you now ensure that your platform will genuinely empower student voices and address their concerns, given that these issues were not addressed during your previous term as organization president?
Thank you for the question. Nang po kasi ako as President of Student Council, meron tayong CBL na sinusunod. And as a President, doon ako nagre-rely ng mga rules and policies na i-apply ko sa aming school. To be short, nag-rely lang ako at sumunod lang ako sa Constitution and bylaws ng ASCOT Forestry Student Council. For me, you will not penalize kung nakikipag-participate ka sa isang activity. You will not pay penalties kung you are interested or you're into activities in your school. Kung maging president man ako ng SCSC, kung papalarin at pagbibigyan ng chance ng mga fellow ASCOTians, sisikapin kong gawin, I have to mention na President Janelle ay walang problema when it comes to communication with other school. And yun yung nakita kong key. And i-adapt ko if ever na maging president ako ng school na I will communicate as much as I can sa mga president ng organizations sa school. Kasi ang concern ng isang school ay parehas sa concern ng majority. Yes, you just need to listen to the representatives of various schools. Thank you.
Thank you. So the next question is for the aspiring SCSC Executive Vice President for both parties. The question is, as an act of transparency, can you list at least 3 programs or events that you think will consume the highest funds of the Student Council? Again, as an act of transparency, can you list at least 3 programs or events that you think will consume the highest funds of the Student Council?
Hello. Good morning once again. I think 3 most consuming plans or activities that will happen here in ASCOT or are happening here in ASCOT even by then is the acquaintance party and as well as the Foundation Day and as well as the sports or the intramurals. However, I think that these projects are important for us to foster camaraderie and collaboration with one another while fostering creativity and as well as the well-being of the students. Therefore, I think proper budgeting and allotting with these activities is a must. So I think that electing the right officer here in Hiraya, you will feel what is really an accountable and loyal leader. Thank you so much.
VP of the SICAP Party.
And good morning, everyone. I think 3 of the most activities that expensive activities. The first one is acquaintance party. I think it is important for us to conduct acquaintance party even though it is expensive because it is a first step in order for us to make the students know each other, and it will be the start for a united Aurora State College of Technology. The second thing is intramurals. It is important. It is also important for us to conduct, even though it is expensive, because it is one of the way in order for us to discover the talent, the skills, and to showcase it, to select students who will showcase their talents and skills in sports outside our institution or outside our province. And it is one of the way to have academic break and to have a good mental health. The third one is the Foundation Day. Foundation Day is important even though it is expensive because it is an activity wherein we commemorate the foundation of our school, and it is one of the way in order for us to persuade the students to join and to be a participative individual part of the community. Thank you.
Thank you. So the next question was sent specifically for the Hiraya Secretary. So for Ms. Maria Sofia Mauro, as someone who has a lot of experiences and notable achievements posted by the CBE with total of 4 pages, what made you think you are fit for the position of Executive Secretary and not for President? Again, as someone who has a lot of experiences and notable achievements posted by the CBE with a total of 4 pages, with all of these under your belt, what made you think you're fit for the position of Executive Secretary and not for President?
Thank you. I think I will take that as a compliment. Well, I think I'm still a first-year student, as some of you may know. And I think being a secretary is a good starting point, and not and not being a president, because there is a perfect time for that, and I believe in perfect timing. And I run as a secretary to be able to test my experiences as well, and to utilize my skills, and to be able to test the waters first, because I think although leadership is a common ground, I think it is still different when it comes to being a college student. So I still want to test the waters and to be able to improve more, because I think that the biggest room there is the room for improvement, because I think that there is more within me, and to be able to utilize that skill is for me to start with something small. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Another question for the President of CCAP. So the question is, what is your purpose in proposing a revision to the Constitution? Is this change intended to benefit the majority of students, or does it primarily serve the interest of your party or position? Again, what is your purpose for proposing revisions to the Constitution? Is this change intended to benefit the majority of the students, or does it primarily serve the interests of your party or your position?
Of course, to benefit the students. Kasi unang-una, as a student leader, we serve for them. Ang student leader ay para mag-serve sa majority or lahat ng estudyante. Kaya dapat ang isipin mo for the benefit of the student, of all the ASCOTians. Thank you.
Excuse me po, pwede pong since I think yung question po about the revision, I think should not only be directed to the President, but also to the people, part of the aspirants of the Council. And if okay lang po, tuloy ko po, pwede po. I think this is also the position of the entire Council or entire SICAP party. We see a problem in the Constitution. The Constitution is supposed to be a document that protects the students, especially the students that is part of the Council, not only the Council itself, but also every student in ASCOT. And there are currently defective lines in it, but most importantly, I think one of our priority agendas in revision is the improvement of the current structure of the SCSC. It's specifically the senators. We would like to improve the capabilities of the senators, and through the revision of the SCSC, we would like to institutionalize it to make a foundation in a document that is supposed to be the foundation of our council. That is all. Thank you po.
Okay, so we accept that answer, but as stated in the rules, the questions are specifically sent for a specific candidate, so he or she should answer it alone. So again, another question for Ms. President of the SICAP Party. One of your platforms focuses on promoting the Safe Spaces Act of ASCOT. Are there instances where the Gender and Development, or GAD, are not sufficiently effective in addressing issues related to sexual harassment?
Can you please repeat the question?
So one of your platforms focuses on promoting the Safe Spaces Act in ASCOT. So are there instances where gender and development are not sufficiently effective in addressing issues related to sexual harassment?
I'm not saying that God is not sufficiently effective. However, we came up to the platform Spaces because one of our candidates experienced this, what do you call this, a certain issue regarding sensitivity, gender sensitivity. So we need to, let's say, I'm not saying na God is insufficient with their task or work. We just need to improve. And as a student council, we need to prioritize every aspect of the student council. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So now we'll proceed with the questions from the comment section on the live broadcast. So ang katanungan ito ay maaaring sagutin ng magkabilang panig or president ng magkabilang panig. Napakaraming issues ng ating kolehiyo. Isa sa halimbawa nito ay ang kakulangan sa mga infrastruktura katulad ng silid-aralan at palikuran. Isang paraan upang dinggin ng administrasyon ng hinaing ng mag-aaral ay sa pamamagitan ng pag-aalsa or student activism. Paano nyo ipapakita ang pagsuporta sa student activism kung sakaling ito ay maganap sa taon ng inyong administrasyon?
Good day, everyone. As much as possible, we know that activism is a very important thing para magkaroon ng mga batas. Lahat ng karapatan ng kababaihan para bumoto, karapatan ng LGBTQ community, karapatan ng mga bata, lahat yan ay ipinaglaban sa lansangan. Gayunpaman, as much as possible, we are trying to communicate as well in the studentry na kung ano yung kanilang hinaing sa issue na to. I am well aware that activism is important. It could be our last resort, but if it's something na kaya pa natin tugunan in the first place as student leaders, pwede natin itong gawin. Ano ba yung mga ways na pwede natin gawin when it comes to their notion in regards with the infrastructures? Number one, we can create letters and as well as complain sa mga nasa taas kung ano nga ba talaga yung sitwasyon ng mga estudyante. Naniniwala ako na bilang isang student leader, especially sa SCSC, may boses tayo para pakinggan lahat ng estudyante at tong mga boses na yon ay gamitin natin to promote the common good at para sabihin ito or ihabla sa mas nakakataas. Pangalawa, we have a band-aid solution naman in terms to this. However, I do not encourage it for a long term, but I see it as something for the meantime na beneficial hanggat hindi pa na-approve yung request natin for for building infrastructures. Meron tayong tinatawag na LMS or Learning Management System. Ito ay isang sistema na ina-apply namin sa engineering whenever it is asynchronous. Nakikita ko siya as something effective kasi we are able to revisit the lessons as well as kung ano pa talaga yung dapat naming matutunan sa curriculum. Yun yung practice na ina-apply namin sa engineering. I find it as a great band-aid solution. However, magpo-focus pa rin talaga tayo sa pagsasubmit ng complaint, especially on saying the voices ng mga estudyante na kulang ang infrastructure dito sa ating institution. Thank you.
Yes, again, reminder, you only have 2 minutes to answer the questions.
When it comes to student activism, hindi natin masasabi kung ano ang rason ng estudyante, bakit nag-came up sila doon sa point na yon. And I do believe the only thing na kailangan natin is effective communication. Kung may effective communication tayo, kung papakinggan natin lahat ng hinaing or yung mga issues ng mga estudyante, I think they will not reach to the point na hindi na mangyayari ang student activism if we listen to them and actionan yung mga concerns nila sa atin. Thank you.
So, thank you. The next question can be answered by any of the candidates of both parties. The previous SCSC election saw only 29% voter participation, signaling potential distrust or disengagement. Do you believe that replacing the direct voting system with a parliamentary model would improve representation? If not, what reforms would you propose to strengthen the student participation? Again, the previous SCSC election only saw 29% voter participation, signaling potential distrust or disengagement. Do you believe that replacing the direct voting system with a parliamentary model would improve representation? If not, what reforms would you propose to strengthen student participation? Any candidate from both parties?
For me, as stated in the CBL, our Constitution and bylaws, dapat ang election ng Student Council ay nangyayari for the month of May. However, due to circumstances, pumapatak siya sa, let's say, bakasyon, finals. So yung mga students, parang wala na sa kanila yung election na dapat may pakialam sila. Ito yung sinasabi ko kanina na yung concern sa akin regarding penalties. Paano natin mapapasunod ang isang estudyante kung wala tayong matibay na policies sa ating school? Yan. So I think mas okay or it is much better kung nasusunod natin yung ating nasa CBL. Yan. Thank you.
Wait lang.
Okay, good day. In regards with the question about if we were about to change the election process into parliamentary system, I don't think na it is an enough way to represent all the studentry. Kasi when we comes to parliamentary, I think it's the same system as the US political system na kung saan nagkakaroon ng pointing system. And yun yung nagde-determine ng representation ng isang state. Pero I think it is not enough in order for us para i-anchor yung voices ng lahat ng mga estudyante. We are living in a democratic country and I believe that the rights to vote is part siya ng Constitution, siguro na 1987, but when in regards dito sa ating school-based organization, naniniwala ko na karapatan ng mga estudyante ang bumoto. Naniniwala ko na lahat sila ay dapat may boses. Hindi lang siya about sa pagkakaroon ng parliamentary system wherein there's a representation and kung sino iboboto na representation na yon is yun na agad yung maging president. Kasi niniwala ko na even though there's a representation, hindi lahat ng voices ay nakikater. Kaya as much as possible, we have to work on that if we are going to do parliamentary, but I do not agree with parliamentary system. Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Excuse po. Are we allowed to add po dun sa answer nung kasama namin?
Pwede.
Can we add?
We would like to add something.
No.
Bakit sa kanila tinatanong kayo yung nag-organize?
No, akin.
Wala.
So, no daw po. Because the questions are specifically made for a specific candidate. So, for our open forum, we will end the questions ngayon, but the panels or the live audience can ask their questions later for the meeting de avance.
Okay, so thank you to everyone who participated in our open forum. That was a lively and thoughtful exchange of ideas, exactly what we hoped for. So we're now moving to the final phase of this leadership forum, the closing statements. So each team will have 1 to 2 minutes to deliver their final thoughts, wrap up their arguments, and leave us with something to consider. Maraming salamat. Let's start with Hiraya Party.
Ayan, for my closing statement, once again, Hiraya Party, a group of progressive student leaders who are trying to provide better solutions and platforms na makabago at makakatulong directly sa mga estudyante. Kasama sa aming plataforma ang mga bagay na directly nakakapag-benefit sa mga estudyante Hinati namin ito sa tatlong key pillars. Number 1, campaign. Dito nakapaloob ang pinaglalaban namin at ang aming mga paninindigan sa issue na malawakang nakakaapekto sa student tree. Naniniwala kami na hindi lang ito dapat awareness lang. Kasama dapat dito ang pagkilos at paggawa ng paraan upang ipaglaban ito. Kasama ng banning of mandatory school activities, introducing youth volunteers as quotients, as well as transparency and accountability. Kasama rin dito ang aming programs. Ito ay aming mga sustained initiatives na makakatulong sa development ng skills, capabilities, and leadership potential ng mga estudyante. Hindi lang siya one-time event pero structured activities or series na makakapag-contribute sa student development. This includes the free civil service training and seminars, reproductive health programs, as well as ASCOT University Fairs. Kasama sa 3 pillars na yon ang services. Ito ay yung mga plataforma namin na naniniwala kami na directly nakakatulong at nakapagbibigay ng benefits sa mga estudyante. Kasama rito ang hatidbayan services kung saan nagpo-provide kami ng libreng pamasahe sa mga pauwi, especially on decade areas, dahil alam namin ang hirap ng mga estudyante comes to their financial needs kapag sa ganitong mga paraan. Kasama rin dito ang research aid services na kung saan pinoproblema palagi ang printing as well as yung source ng bond papers. Kasama dito ang Tambuli Student Cast, which is a podcast. Ganon din ang Student Help Desk or TELASpace. Naniniwala ang Hiraya sa pamagitan ng events nito, we can be a progressive organization for the student tree. For the students, with the students, by the students. Thank you.
Okay, maraming salamat, Hiraya Party. And now naman sa ating SICA Party.
Again, we are the SICA Party. Mga leader estudyante na mayroong sigasig at kalinga para sa pangarap. Ang aming party ay mayroong 5-point agenda, as mentioned earlier, forming of internal and external partnership wherein we can have collaboration or partnership with private entity that maybe we can help in sponsorship and to lessen and to help sa ating mga budgeting, considering na ang budget ng SCSC ay limited para sa mga lahat ng activities na gusto natin. Next one is the student development support. Ang aming party ay naglalayon na ma-develop ang different aspect of the students in academic, cultural, and sports. We have also sustainable and relevant projects. Bilang nagsusulong ang ating institusyon ng ASCOT to the world, ASCOT in the world, and ASCOT for the world, dapat tayo ay maging responsive sa kailangan ng mundo. We should do activities na aligned with the 17 SDGs. We have also strengthened student participation by doing activities with the collaboration of different schools. We can unite ASCOT. Again, this is not a battle of colors. Who is the better school? It is a fight for every student to feel heard and seen. For the last one is the revision of SCSC Constitution. This is medyo tricky, sa totoo lang, and intriguing. Kasi for the previous term, ang dami nang nag-attempt na baguhin ang ating constitution and bylaws. It's because, thank you.
Ayan, maraming salamat, SICA Party. So now, maraming salamat sa ating lahat. So before we continue with our meeting, the Evansel, let's take a break and have a lunch first. But just a quick reminder na magsisimula po tayo at exactly 1 p.m. So please be back here on time. Marami pong salamat.
Hello candidates and sa mga iba po.